Jae-woo's daily grind was a nightmare, suffocating under mountain-sized debts triggered by his gaming obsession. Reality was brutal. Suddenly, he's reincarnated into a realm where martial prowess is everything. But fate had a nasty twist. Jae woke up as a level 1 weakling. Stranded and defenseless in a savage forest, death was knocking on his door. Yet a tactical monster was born. With every drop of blood spilled, his power soared, earning him the title Cold-Blooded Warrior. Beneath a blood-red moon, the ultimate showdown erupts. Surveying the carnage at the castle gates, the demon lord grows curious. How could a lowly human reach this peak? Gasping for air, the villain acknowledges Jae's sheer terrifying talent. Eyes locked with his nemesis Jae, readies for the kill. Farza, the demon lord, roars out Jae's legendary title. Elector Steel, grinning with icy confidence, Jae grips his blade, prepared to slice through whatever hell comes next. Today marks the fall of demons. Jae lunges, channeling the devastating power of his sword's 12th form. He screams, "Here I go," as he strikes for the win. Suddenly, a neon system window shatters the moment. Frozen mid-leap, a soul-crushing alert pops up. "You have been disconnected from the server." Mocking his sudden stiffness, the demon lord laughs. Paralyzed and vulnerable, Jae's frantic screams echo through the void. He's desperate for the lag to end. Helpless and locked in place, he can only watch as doom closes in. The quest display against Farza flickers on the monitor. Then the system cold-bloodedly delivers the final blow to the player. Han Jae-woo has failed the stage. Back in the physical world, two thugs try to figure out how to snap him out. One goon grabs him, while the other spots something that sends a shiver down his spine. He stammers that Jae's shadow spooked him into tripping the power cord. Snapping back to reality, Jae lunges forward. "You unplugged it." Jae's rage explodes. He was seconds away from clearing the legendary quest of a lifetime. He just wanted that boss kill. Though he looks like a basement dweller, he was once the elite problem solver. Known as the Brain of Hanum, and a notorious money goblin, he once lived a life of peak extravagance. But a sudden epiphany hit him hard. Staring blankly into the abyss, Jae began to question his shallow existence. Everything he chased felt meaningless. That emptiness is what drove him to seek a new life within the game. This single-player RPG became his salvation, offering a massive, breathtaking world ripe for endless exploration and discovery. To a guy who never touched a book, this was a fresh universe. Clashing with monsters, he witnessed true magic. Plus, the world was teeming with stunning characters from legendary species that felt entirely too real. Hooked by their tragic backstories, he dove deeper into the journey. This digital odyssey completely reshaped his soul. The man who once worshipped cash started burning through loans just to keep his virtual dream alive. He dropped $1 billion on a high-tech gaming capsule. Even he admits that to outsiders, he's totally lost it. Cowing on the floor, the thug whimpers. Jae just smirks, claiming he finally understands the true nature of things. Thinking back, Jae reminds them he's the one who buried their dirty secrets. The others watch frozen in fear. One guy snaps, challenging Jae's authority. Jae just fixes him with a cold, soul-piercing stare that demands silence. The coward instantly retreats, denying he spoke. But the debt remains, and Jae knows simple work won't pay it. Crafting gaming guides isn't enough. He recalls his avatar scaling jagged cliffs to harvest rare mystical flora. He had to dodge a colossal dragon amidst the ruins. Navigating the treacherous terrain, he focused on his map. A winged predator tracked his every move. Back at his desk, Jae finalizes his expert dungeon walkthrough guide. He grinds through his notes with laser focus. Once finished, he checks his bank balance and it's grim. With only pennies left, the debt collector pleads for Han Jae-woo to return to their shady corporate world. Jae shuts him down instantly. He's never going back. Sliding into his capsule, he makes a vow to himself. The story isn't over. He's chasing the true ending, a feat no other gamer has ever achieved before. Finishing the quest is his duty to that world. Shoving the thugs out, he tells them their time is up. As they leave, one guy hollers his support. Jae slams the door, turning his back on reality forever. He readies himself to dive back in. Hand on the sleek capsule, he prepares to reclaim his digital throne. The system boot sequence initiates. Suddenly, the epic title Savior of Humanity flashes across the display. Initiating login, he spawns back into the chaotic, bustling heart of the Cathedral of Byron. A notification pings his death penalty is active for hours. Purely tilted, Jae lets out a frustrated roar. Our hero is spiraling, wondering how to make bank when a haunting voice mocks his desperate struggle. He turns to find a striking white-haired figure materializing before him with footsteps that command the room. She glides through the great hall with lethal grace. The moment she halts, he demands to know her identity. Flashing a sharp smile, she introduces herself as Aquila, the Game Master. He's floored. Is this girl seriously running the game? She warns him not to judge a book by its cover, but he scoffs, refusing to buy her GM act. To end the debate, she snaps her fingers. Boom. Reality grinds to a sudden screeching halt. Every NPC freezes like a statue. He's shaken, convinced she just unleashed a legendary triple S rank time spell. She just laughs, explaining it wasn't a skill, she literally just crashed the entire game server. Leaning in, she teases a massive new event, announcing that a forbidden new world has finally been unlocked. He thinks she's totally lost it until she mentions a $25 billion reward. Now she's got his attention. She gets dangerously close, mocking his fear, and asking if he's too scared to reach the true ending. The truth is waiting, she whispers, extending her hand like a temptress, offering the ultimate cheat code. He stares at her outstretched palm, his mind racing as he weighs the risk of this life-changing gamble. Before he can speak, she pauses him, promising a pre-order bonus if he signs his soul away right now. Suddenly, a ping echoes 30 million has just been wired directly to his bank account. She labels him her top VIP player. Blown away by the cash, he decides winning doesn't even matter anymore. He starts celebrating like a madman, knowing he can finally clear this month's crushing debt interest. Locked in, he roars that only a complete moron would pass up an opportunity this massive. Satisfied, Aquila begins the transfer, preparing to drop him into the unknown depths of the new world. Initiating installation, she declares, her eyes glowing with intense focus as the system begins to rewrite itself. Hovering in midair, she commands the code. One by one, every NPC in the vicinity is wiped from existence. The world literally falls apart at the seams, dragging them both into a void between dimensions. She points toward a glowing portal, the gateway to his nightmare. He asks if it's game on once he enters. With a final deep breath, he turns and marches toward the door to begin this epic, high-stakes event. He flings the massive doors open but pauses to remind her, "Don't you dare forget my prize money." Stepping into the blinding light, he declares he's going to find the journey's true hidden conclusion. But then she lets out a chilling giggle. She forgot to mention if he dies in-game, he's dead for real. Terror freezes his heart, but it's too late. He's violently shoved headfirst into the digital abyss. Gravity betrays him. He plummets through the sky, his screams echoing as the ground rushes up to meet him. Crunch. He slams into the dirt with agonizing force. He's confused. Why does a game feel this painful? Clinging to consciousness, her warning rings in his ears. This isn't just code, the stakes are terrifyingly real. He claws at the grass, screaming Aquila's name at the heavens in a fit of pure, unadulterated rage. Hauling himself up, he curses the sky one last time, before disappearing into the shadows of the forest. Parched and exhausted, he leans on a branch, swearing he'll never forgive that sadistic GM. Status window, open. He checks his stats and loses it. She gave him a trash-tier character. How is he supposed to survive this? He rants about his pathetic condition until a single ripple in a puddle catches his sharp eyes. He spots something through the trees and sprints toward it, thanking his lucky stars he read those survival guides. He dives into a river, gulping down water to recover his HP, when a mysterious silhouette catches his eye. Emerging from the mist, he wipes his face and freezes. There's someone else in the water just ahead. A mysterious woman is bathing peacefully, completely unaware of his presence as he watches mesmerized. A health warning jolts him back to reality. As his eyes glow with a new ability, he demands her name. Just as his power peaks, a massive system pop-up blocks his view. Please pay to unlock this DLC. He absolutely loses his mind, screaming that a VIP player shouldn't be dealing with this pay-to-win garbage. Suddenly, a coven of witches surrounds him. Pay up or perish, they hiss. He's completely cornered. His jaw drops in disbelief. The screen fades to black, as he's left broken and defeated on the forest floor. With his HP plummeting, a witch looms over him, hissing for him to stay silent on the cold floor. She promises mercy if he plays dead. Ignoring her, he checks on his bound ally, earning only mocking cackles. Baffled, the man seeks answers but receives silence. Stepping up, the hunter Rudd demands to know his story. Rudd sighs, blaming terrible luck for landing him here while tracking his latest target. He mirrors the sentiment, claiming fate forced his hand, while stealthily slicing his bonds with a concealed blade. He boldly declares that escaping death traps is his forte. When asked for an exit strategy, he smirks, guaranteeing a win. Why? Because he's the one who literally wrote the strategy guide for this. Recalling the grind, he mentions spending 3 days perfecting this raid. Then he begins calling out their names. He rattles off Gunda, Caldura, Aldaida, and Fugu before locking eyes with their sinister leader. That's Hey Juju. These low-level bosses are notorious player killers who have ended countless runs. Scanning the room, he spots their fatal flaw, zero teamwork. He shoots a knowing glance at a bewildered Rudd. Rudd is totally lost. Ignoring him, he taunts Fugu, questioning how she's even still breathing in this dump. He remembers Hey Juju mentioning a plan to take her out. Before he can finish, Juju snaps, demanding silence, but the seed of doubt is planted. Fugu snarls, demanding to know who's the target. Sensing his bait worked, he adds that Juju plans to loot her entire inventory once she's gone. Enraged, Fugu screams for the truth. Juju scoffs, asking if she's really naive enough to trust a prisoner's lies. Pushing the gas, he doubles down, claiming Juju won't even let her touch the gold. The provocation lands perfectly. Aldaida chimes in, realizing why Juju was secretly crafting that lethal acid bomb. Gunda couldn't care less, only whining about dinner. Meanwhile, the brewing chaos has Caldura buzzing with excitement. She screams to join the fray. As the witches turn on each other, he grins. The plan is working flawlessly. These legendary bosses start mauling each other. Seconds later, the rest of the coven dives into the bloody brawl. Their erratic patterns are their greatest defense, leaving players clueless and constantly getting wiped. This makes pitting them against one another a breeze. Seizing the absolute mayhem, he signals Rude to move. However, he pauses, needing to tie up one last loose end before their exit. To finish the job, he dives headfirst into the chaotic melee to trigger the final phase of his scheme. Snatching a nearby tarp, he maneuvers with lightning speed, shoving the brawling witches into a massive bubbling cauldron. He points Rudd toward the escape route. As damage pings flood his vision, he revels in the massive XP gain, but a sudden strike from Fugu's serpent snags him mid-air. Trapped in the pot, Fugu shrieks that if she's going down, she's dragging him to hell with her. Slammed to the floor, he frantically dodges the fangs, screaming for the beast to release its grip. Reality hits, his current stats are trash, and he's stuck. From the distance, Rudd roars that he's coming to help. Blade drawn, Rude charges like a madman, delivering a surgical strike aimed right at the snake's throat. Rudd severs the beast, freeing him at last. After checking for injuries, he receives a quick nod of gratitude. Jae-woo requests the bow. Rudd hesitates, questioning his aim as he hands over the weapon. The bow's stats flash in a system window. Smirking, he claims basic knowledge while taking a professional sniper stance. He aims high, targeting a heavy object dangling from the rafters. His arrow flies true, striking with deadly precision. The target shatters, plummeting toward the trapped witches. They gaze upward, completely oblivious to the impending doom. Terror strikes Juju's face as she realizes the falling projectile is actually a volatile acid bomb. Fugu howls in agony as corrosive droplets rain down, dripping into the very pot they're stuck in. They watch helplessly as the acid descends. Then a titanic explosion rips through the entire chamber. The shockwave sends them flying, shaving off their final HP. Rudd pants, asking if the nightmare is finally over. He warns Rudd not to jinx it. Suddenly, a system notification pings a new achievement has been unlocked. A kill feed follows, confirming the total annihilation of every single witch in the room. A waterfall of XP and rewards fills his screen. He turns to Rude, confirming their impossible victory. Jae-woo cheers, crediting his low-level status for the massive gains, while giving Rude a well-earned thanks. Rudd claims he only saved him because death was knocking. Turning back, he mentions he's got a little parting gift. Rudd offers a pouch of rare fruits as a thank you. Caught off guard, the young warrior admits this was totally unexpected. This definitely didn't happen in his past life. Rudd reveals he swiped these from a nest, sensing their immense value. Upon biting into the fruit, an eerie power surges through his veins. Suddenly, his entire physical form begins to evolve. A dragon bone notification pings. Stunned, he watches his stats skyrocket, realizing he just hit the ultimate power-up jackpot. Rude observes the spectacular transformation with a knowing grin. Once the feast ends, Rude beckons him over for a talk. Closing the distance, Rudd leans in. He drops a bombshell question. Is he ready to start hunting high-level monsters? Mouth still stuffed, he locks eyes with Rudd, weighing the proposal. As he swallows, he tightens his grip with resolve. He readies his response. Surprisingly, he declines the offer, claiming he has more pressing matters to attend to immediately. He pauses mid-sentence, sensing a massive opportunity. Glancing at his updated character screen, he reevaluates everything quickly. Realizing his experience will rot without a proper class, he cuts in. He proposes a strict 3-month training window instead. Grinning, he asks if 3 months suffices. A shocked Rude double-checks, asking if he actually meant 3 years for mastery. Rudd thinks the pace is insane. Deal struck, the pair ventures deep into the emerald shadows of the dense forest. At the riverbank, Rudd orders him to vanish. The hunt begins in exactly 30 minutes, and Rudd won't be easy. Sensing a hunter skill in play, he analyzes the field. He knows Rudd is underestimating him, a mistake he will exploit. He bolts into the thicket to vanish. Every inch of these woods is etched into his memory from past explorations. Vanishing into the foliage, he maneuvers with surgical precision. He leaps across branches, navigating the terrain like a seasoned ghost. He strategically plants toxic fungi to derail his pursuer. Recalling the local beasts, he slips silently behind a massive trunk. Swinging from a vine, he declares everything is going to plan. With a cocky smirk, he vows he won't be found. Suddenly, Rudd whispers right behind him, mocking his spot. Jolting in shock, he spins around, baffled by Rudd's sheer speed. Critiquing his move, Rude grants him pity points for the ground-level hustle. It is a harsh but very fair assessment. He demands to know how Rudd closed the gap so fast. Rudd simply muses that it has been quite a while since he's encountered such an amusing pupil. Racing through the woods, Rudd challenges him to unleash his full hidden potential. Suddenly, the system pings mission accomplished. A new quest triggers, followed by a massive list of unlocked premium skills. The Monster Hunter class finally appears. Grinning, he reveals his brand new monster tracking ability to the world. Flashing a resolute smile, he declares they will be an unstoppable duo. Fast forward 3 months of grueling training later. Rudd checks if he has mastered the basics. Reversing the roles, the apprentice boldly dares Rudd to hide, impressing him. Rudd accepts the hide-and-seek challenge. He warns, however, that if he stays hidden, dinner is on the kids' tab. Grinning, he takes the bet and addresses Rudd as master. As Rudd vanishes, the boy's eyes burn with competitive fire. Scaling a steep cliffside, Rudd reflects on his luck. He is truly satisfied with finding such a talented, hard-working apprentice. He decides to take it easy on the kid. He figures this high-altitude spot is more than enough to win. Suddenly, something grabs his ankle. He looks down, stunned to find his apprentice mocking his expert hiding skills. Rudd is floored by the boy's lightning speed. Each time the apprentice tracks him down, proving he has mastered hunting. Busted in a treetop, Rudd reels from the boy's growth. Retreating into a dark cave, Rudd doubts the kid follows. He tries convincing himself the boy cannot reach this depth, but as he scans his surroundings, reality finally hits him. Terror strikes as he realizes they have stumbled into a hellhound nest. He whispers this secret must stay hidden. Catching Rudd, he warns that even a massive quake won't wake these beasts. He flashes a confident, knowing smile. He asks if he officially passed the ultimate hunter test. Still reeling from shock, Rudd confirms his absolute resounding success. Safely back in the woods, Rudd applauds him. Mastering 3 years of training in 3 months is truly legendary stuff. He then showcases a devastating 5-hit furious combo. Reaching out, he humbly credits his rapid growth to his teacher. The witch encounters provided the perfect training ground. Rudd is stunned. He remembered every intricate detail about monster ecology. Beaming with pride, Rudd predicts his talent will take him to the top. Then Rudd asks about his future. Without missing a beat, he declares his priority is stacking cash. Rudd sparks an idea: why not become a mercenary? Intrigued by the proposal, he agrees. It is the perfect launchpad for his new high-stakes career. Mercenary work offers the flexibility he craves. If luck stays on his side, he will finally track down the Guardians. He locks in the deal, officially joining the mercenaries. Rudd hands over a weathered ancient emblem. My friend will know that Mark. Rudd whispers. A final salute, and the master is gone. Walking away, he vibes with his new class stats. With that emblem, a happy ending feels real. It's finally within his grasp. Eyes narrowed, he steps into the next brutal phase of his journey. Suddenly, a voice echoes. Don't you want to see the end? Then Aquila's haunting image flashes before him. Tempting him with clues, he hesitates at the logout button, addicted to the rush of this death game. He won't quit. He'll turn this pressure into pure power. One sharp slap to the face, he's ready. Zeroing in on the mission, he makes a vow to Aquila. He's reaching the true ending no matter what. Elsewhere, Aquila spectates the chaos from her throne, laughing at his desperate struggle. Watching him dodge those witches was peak entertainment, she smirks, enjoying every second of her favorite show. Her smile widens. Suddenly, a figure descends through the cosmic void, landing with godlike grace. He's no average player, a voice notes. Aquila teases. Oh, is my little goddess interested? The goddess Valpurga descends, hovering majestically above the throne with overwhelming divine presence. Don't waste glances on mere humans, she warns. Aquila just shrugs. Why not? The kid is cute. Valpurga goes silent, looking away. Aquila pouts. You were way more fun back in the day, girl. Changing gears, she asks about his debt. Finding the truth, she calls Aquila absolutely savage. Making him work for free, harsh. Aquila just laughs. It's high-tier comedy, isn't it? Staring at the screen, Aquila admires his spirit. Valpurga sighs at her cruelty, getting serious. She drops a heavy question. Is this boy actually part of your grand design? Is he the chosen piece? Or just your newest toy? Valpurga asks, her voice cold. Aquila hums, playing coy. With a wicked grin, she calls him an exceptionally promising talent. She stares at the monitor, silence heavy with secrets. Just sit back and watch the show, she whispers. Slumped on the dirt, a system alert flashes exhaustion status. He glares at the endless forest. Why is this map so cracked, he groans. He forces himself up. Time to move out. Finally, the mercenary city looms ahead. He enters the local tavern, the door chime echoing through the hall. 2 waitresses welcome him to the city's top spot. I'm looking for someone, he cuts to the chase. Take a seat first, they offer. Scanning the rowdy crowd, he knows this is the ultimate info hub. Booze and laughter flow. The perfect environment for loose lips. He realizes the waitresses are key players here. They're clearly the main attraction. He leans in, asking if they know a man named Reeves Charles. Instant silence. Every head turns. The waitress pales, whispering a frantic warning to the reckless newcomer. That name is cursed here, she stammers. My boyfriend dealt with him once. Just once. He came back looking like a literal mummy, she trembles. He gulps, questioning Rudd's choice of contacts. Who exactly did Rudd send him to meet Run, she hisses. He'll be here any second. Thud Jaiwu slams into a wall of muscle. The man towers over him. I'm Reeves Charles. Charles spots the emblem on his belt and grins. Ah, so you're the new kid Rudd sent me. I needed a new partner in crime, Charles beams. Jaiwoo panics, did Rude just sell him out? Charles roars with laughter. He was just trolling. But as they walk, the heavy atmosphere sets in. He's being drafted into a literal world war. It's high stakes, but the perfect chance to level up. The Prince Elector is a game guardian. This is the perfect opportunity to infiltrate the higher ranks. He needs intel on the other guardians. Suddenly, a deafening trumpet blast shakes the entire city. Charles grabs him, draining his HP. The prince has arrived. The massive crowd splits like the sea. The royal procession marches past. It's not what he expected, but he definitely belongs with these monsters. He spots the prince, but the guardian looks more like a final boss villain. He stays quiet. Watching the spectacle, a knight in shimmering white armor gallops forward on a massive steed. Sword drawn, she charges toward the waiting prince. Charles gasps in shock. Dame Valpurga is actually here. The Prince Elector locks eyes with her, his expression cold and unreadable. Seeing her focus waver, he demands to know what's eating her. Jolting back to reality, she insists everything is fine. Silent and cold, she averts her gaze as he watches the battalion march into the distance. War is calling. Haunted by memories, he recalls her as his loyal ally across countless past timelines. Yet a bitter regret lingers. He failed to shield her every single time. With burning resolve, he notes the tragic cycle always repeated. When Charles questions his mood, he masks the pain of Valpurgis. This time he'll gamble his soul to reach a future where she survives. Meanwhile, sellswords clash nearby. The brawl is savage, with warriors trading lethal strikes without hesitation. Pure adrenaline fills the air. The raw intensity is expected for these killers. A system alert pings, summoning him to the training grounds. Charles announces a brutal promotion trial. Only the strongest will lead these bloodthirsty groups. A mercenary flaunts a heavy coin sack. Wanting no trouble, he tries to blend into the shadows. Suddenly, Charles yanks him into the spotlight, forcing him into the fray regardless of his protests. Charles brags that Rude only hires elites. He bellows at the crowd, challenging anyone to crush the newbie. Thirsty for blood, several thugs step up, with one arrogant warrior claiming the first kill. Trapped, he recognizes this familiar struggle. Driven by a thirst for power, he readies himself for the first victim. Introducing himself as Max, the sellsword demands an official duel to the death. Sizing him up, Max sneers that he'll shatter like glass. Charles checks if both fighters are ready to spill blood. At the signal, the carnage begins. Max lunges forward like a starving predator, letting out a primal roar. With one fluid motion, Max's blade is sent spiraling into the sky. The spectators stand frozen, completely blindsided by the rookie's insane speed. Max hits the dirt, and a notification confirms a total knockout. The crowd murmurs in disbelief, trying to process the slaughter. Eager for a piece of him, the rest swarm. He tells them to line up, unleashing refined swordsmanship. He carves through another foe, his reputation soaring. With a swift grappling move, he racks up points. A brutal headbutt seals the next win. Then a massive titan of a man steps forward, mocking his comrades for losing to a brat. This mountain of flesh, Charlotte demands a real fight. Staring at the giant, he questions if he's even human. This boss fight feels way above his pay grade. He frantically tries to exit the simulation, but the system denies him. The logout button is dead. Panicked, he begs for a breather, but Charlotte just laughs and charges like a runaway train. Cursing his rotten luck, he realizes there's no escape. Since he's backed into a corner, he locks in. With cold eyes, he catches Charlotte's massive arm mid-swing, halting his momentum instantly. In the same breath, he seizes the giant's collar with a death grip. Channeling every ounce of strength, he executes a perfect throw, launching the behemoth skyward. He slams the titan into the earth with bone-shattering force. Charlotte lies broken, wondering what hit him. Gasping for air, a ping confirms Charlotte's defeat. His fame level is absolutely skyrocketing now. Dumbfounded, a mercenary asks Charles where he found this freak. They surround him, shouting he's a monster. Being mobbed, he pleads for just 60 seconds of peace. That's when Charles cuts through the noise, ordering the mob to step back immediately. Under Charles's protection, he meets the gaze of the leader. Charles points a finger at him, declaring him the new commander. The announcement leaves him utterly speechless. He stands paralyzed as the scene shifts to the front lines. Legions of soldiers prepare for war. Thousands of eyes are on him. Clad in heavy plate and clutching his steel, the reality sinks in. On the horizon, the Great War ignites. With a thunderous cry, Charles orders the total offensive. The battalion storms forward, a wall of steel and dust. Ahead, the orcish horde prepares for impact. Diving into the meat grinder, he cleaves through an orc with lethal precision. As blood spills, he reaffirms his loyalty to the prince. Inside the command tent, Charles reveals a direct clash is imminent. With a smirk, he says, the goal is simple: capture the enemy colors and break their spirit. Their formation crumbles, but he warns these orcs boast the continent's most lethal synchronized teamwork. Barking a command, Charles singles out the new leader. His mission is crystal clear: halt the orc onslaught. Amidst the chaotic carnage, Jae-woo weaves through lethal spears, stunned by the sudden heavy burden of leadership. Doubts plague Jae-woo, but there's no time for hesitation. He plunges forward, carving through orc flesh. Fuming Jae-woo snarls that his plan was simply to steal the glory and vanish. Suddenly, an orc scout reports. The front line is breaking. The orc captain watches in horror as his elite spearmen are absolutely decimated. Snatching a spyglass, he bellows for the scout to yield it. He desperately scans the shifting battlefield. Peering through the lens, he hunts for the catalyst behind his unstoppable army's sudden, humiliating collapse. Jae-woo's squad roars as they blitz forward. Witnessing this savage momentum, the orc captain breaks into a sweat. Gripped by dread, he commands the musketeers to take position. The air grows thick with impending death. Lead slams into shields, shattering durability. Detecting the reload window, Jae-woo tenses, preparing to exploit the silence. As the next row readies, he shouts now, and vaults over his allies toward the enemy lines. He blitzes the orc ranks. Crashing into the vanguard, he bellows for his men to unleash absolute annihilation. Stunned, the orc captain can't fathom a lone human dismantling his forces. Glaring at his wavering troops, he growls. The flag must not fall. Gripping the banner, he roars that it embodies his tribe's ancient bloody legacy. Jae-woo's squad swarms the captain to seize the prize. All eyes turn skyward as the orc banner falls. Clutching the flag, he bellows in triumph as a notification pings. Suddenly, a somber retreat horn wails. A panicked soldier delivers grim news. Scanning the tactical map, he realizes his allies are tucking tail and fleeing. Left to rot, rage consumes him as a fresh tide of orc reinforcements surges over the horizon. Victory is evaporating. He snarls, wondering why everyone's acting like cowards. A soldier stammers that they must escape. Flee, that's insane. Drenched in sweat, the soldier warns that they're already trapped in a hopeless, deadly vice. Scanning the perimeter, they find themselves totally encircled. Then, a chilling voice booms. The hidden boss, General Kallion, appears. The game is over. Kallion looms over the survivors, acknowledging their bravery before demanding an immediate total surrender. Your lives for the banner. Jae-woo scoffs, retorting that if they push forward, that flag is ending up somewhere unpleasant. Livid, the orc general bellows. How dare you defile our tribe's most sacred holy relic? As an intimidation debuff pings, he snarls that war has no rules. Stunned, the surrounding orcs stand paralyzed. The orc general's piercing gaze locks onto the humans, silently calculating his next devastating move. Suddenly, the humans aim their weapons. Jae-woo dives into the line of fire. Kallion reacts instantly, screaming fire. Volleys shred the men he shielded with the flag. Bleeding and battered, he's still baffled by their ruthlessness. Why didn't they just abandon the damn flag? Jae-woo gnashes his teeth, bracing for the impending storm. Bullets rain down. One by one, his brothers fall to the earth under the merciless barrage. His level is too high, a soldier wails. Yet through the agonizing pain, they stubbornly refuse to yield. Cornered and desperate, Jae-woo faces an impossible stalemate. Thinking of his brothers in arms, he prepares for one final stand. Visions of his true self flicker through his mind. Then Aquila's voice chills his soul. You'll die for real, Jae. With a smirk, she watches from the shadows. Back in reality, a desperate scream tears from his throat. Pressure peaks. His men scream for guidance, knowing that without a plan, they're all destined for a gruesome end. Jae-woo cracks a blood-stained grin and readies his command. Has he finally snapped? A terrified soldier whispers. He roars at Charlotte to hand over the horn immediately. Shut it, he barks, ignoring the lack of reinforcements. Jae-woo readies the horn, drawing a massive breath. The blast echoes, but it bizarrely lures the orcs away. Are you crazy? You're blowing it in the wrong direction, a soldier shrieks in pure panic. Jae-woo smirks. He knows exactly what he's doing. We're even Aquila. Don't forget I'm still a VIP player. He won't fall. With a roar, General Kallion orders his spearmen to execute a final crushing charge. A titanic orc looms, hoisting a massive spear. Die archenemy, it bellows, channeling the hatred of its race. Facing the lethal spear, Jae-woo simply flashes a defiant, desperate grin as the killing blow descends. Suddenly, a projectile pierces the orc's neck. Out of nowhere, a lone rider skyrockets over the front lines. Valperga descends like a goddess of war upon the orcish horde. Her steed slams into the earth, shaking the battlefield. Her voice cuts through the chaos, commanding the men to stand their ground. With steel glinting in the sunlight, she signals the final charge. Stay back, the orc general barks. He demands a sacred one-on-one duel, claiming this kill for himself. The countess meets his gaze, acknowledging his warrior spirit. A man of honor, she muses, bracing for impact. Sparks fly as she lunges forward. Their blades collide in a lethal dance of steel and raw power. The shockwaves rattle the nearby soldiers. It is a deadlock, neither side giving an inch of ground. Their swords scream as they grind together. The orc's eyes widen. He didn't expect this level of finesse. Suddenly, she finds an opening and shatters his guard with a brutal strike to the jaw. He skids back, spitting blood. Not bad, she smirks, finally deciding to stop holding back her monstrous strength. He asks if she is one of those legendary Valperga sisters. He can only stare in awe as she laughs it off. "Time is up," she whispers. She settles into a low stance, channeling every ounce of her mana into one last dash. Their weapons meet one last time. The orc grins, readying a devastating hidden skill to end it all. A massive explosion of dust clouds the area, but Valperga is faster. In a flash, she cleaves the beast clean in two. As his body fades into mana, he mutters a final respect for the fight. The orc commander is no more. Panic ripples through the enemy ranks. Without their leader's iron fist, the orcs break and scatter like leaves in the wind. Jae-woo watches breathless. He cannot believe a single swing ended a high-tier boss. This woman is on another level, a true legend in the flesh. The remaining monsters flee into the darkness completely demoralized. Valperga trots over on her horse looking down at Jay. "You are the one in charge here," she asks, reaching out. She felt his resolve from across the field. As they lock hands, a system notification echoes in Jay's mind. Jay bows his head, officially dropping the title of Elector Steel. He realizes just how close he came to disaster today. His men return, presenting the enemy's colors. His reputation among these battle-hardened mercenaries just shot through the roof. He looks at his tired crew, remembering how they threw themselves into the fire just to keep him safe. They held the line against impossible odds, a wall of flesh and blood that would not break. It all makes sense now. Jay grips the captured flag tight and raises it high for everyone to see. "This victory is ours," he roars. Later, things settle down at Francois' tavern, where the plaque hangs proudly. A young girl bursts through the doors, screaming for Charlotte. She is frantic, scanning the smoky room for a familiar face. Charlotte is just chilling at a table, but the girl rushes over, terrified that Jay got mangled in the fighting again. It turns out Charlotte is only 15. But the real kicker, this little girl is actually her sister. Charlotte's baby sister. She starts laying into Jay, blaming his recklessness for their mounting medical debts. Charlotte shuts it down, reminding her that they are only alive because of Jay's leadership. The mood shifts to celebration. Jay just rubs his neck, feeling the embarrassment as the mercenaries start cheering his name. Suddenly, the door swings open. Valperga is standing there looking for Jae-woo. He can only give a weak, awkward smile. She is out of breath and focused, drawing every eye in the building. Time to move. They ride out toward the Harfheim base. She drops the news the Elector has summoned him for an official reward. As they gallop, Jay notices a softer side to her. She is not the cold knight from the legends anymore. "I am just glad you are okay," she smiles, asking him to drop the formalities and just be friends. She credits him with saving every soul on that field. "Protecting our people is the only reason we need," she adds. Jay finally feels the weight of his new life. He recalls the image of her fighting a literal titan on the battlefield. She is still the same fearless warrior at heart. Jay cannot help but smile, watching her lead the way. Their roles have shifted, but the bond is real. He is no longer a lord, just a mercenary following his path. Inside the command tent, she introduces him to the prince. The royal's eyes narrow as he scans the man, called Jae-woo. The man before him is the guardian Philip. He slowly turns around, revealing the legendary face of the Elector. Jay bows instantly, showing respect to a true titan of the Empire. "They call me the Reaper," Philip smirks. Outside, the cheers of the soldiers erupt as Jay's name is cemented in history. "A hero deserves a prize," he declares, rewarding the man with a heavy pouch of gold. Kneeling, he vows to repay such immense generosity. Satisfied, the Elector asks if any other desires remain. Turning, Jae-woo requests a reunion with his unit. Granting this, Valpurgis provides a sturdy wagon for his journey. But the Elector halts him, asking if he has anything left to say. His head remains bowed. Normally he'd retreat, but looking up, his eyes now burn with a fierce and unwavering resolve. Valpurgis simply observes the tension, waiting for his next move with a curious, slight smirk. Jae-woo prepares his question. Addressing the Grace, he asks to discuss the grim reality of this war. With a chilling gaze, the Elector commands him to speak. Their eyes lock in a silent duel. Jae-woo asks for his true thoughts on the war. Suddenly, the entire room falls deathly silent. Kneeling, he waits. Smirking, the Elector notes that everyone is stunned by such an audacious, unexpected question. Asked for his view, he admits the endgame remains hidden. A nobleman's mocking laughter suddenly erupts. Claiming he's unqualified, the man sneers that he must be reciting simple, baseless tavern rumors. The Elector looks toward her Grace. Valpurgis insists that his unique perspective is worth hearing out. At least once. Enraged, the counselor bellows that the Elector is far too important for this. Calling him uncle, the Elector demands he show her respect. Jae-woo watches the internal power play. He realizes the Elector can't ignore her. Then he's ordered to explain his strategic vision of war. Sighing, he prepares his answer. Looking at the Elector, he warns that a deadly ambush is imminent. Demanding proof, the Elector asks for his basis. Jae-woo begins to weave his detailed logical explanation. He explains how the Demon King thrives on betrayal, citing the tragic fall of the Toa Kingdom. The slaughter of Marquis Anhalt was no different. He speaks with a sharp, unwavering, and firm gaze. Continuing, he warns that they cannot afford to overlook the enemy's mastery of internal calculated treachery. Either. As he speaks, the haunting image of a masked traitor appears, fueling his dark theory. He suggests a spy hides among them. Smirking, the elector admits one can never be too careful. Crossing his legs, he mocks the word caution, calling the young soldier incredibly bold and daring. The elector's gaze turns lethal. Know your place, he warns, your very life is in my hands. Before Valpurgis intervenes, he submits. She watches him closely, her expression unreadable, calm and steady. Fearing the elector's wrath, he bows low, begging forgiveness for his supposedly overstepping and reckless words. He exits the tent. Something feels wrong. The elector's arrogance is reaching a dangerous breaking point. With a suspicious look, he senses a shift. He begins analyzing every change in this current playthrough. Everything has deviated. He concludes that this situation is no longer following his known original script. Turning away, a voice calls out to him from the darkness outside the quiet military camp. It's Valpurgis, breathless from sprinting. She leans on her knees, struggling to catch her breath. Panting heavily, she finally recovers. I managed to reach you just in time," she gasps. Surprised, he asks if she ran out of worry. It's adorable. She quickly apologizes for Philip. She offers to grant any wish as compensation. Impressed, he asks if he truly has a choice. Removing her helmet, the noblewoman warns him not to underestimate her power or her noble word. He asks if she owns many clothes. Adjusting his cloak, he smiles, awaiting her puzzled reaction. Glancing aside, he requests a simple writing quill and a pistol. Stunned, she asks, "That's it. It's a rare chance." He claims he dreams of knighthood. Confused, she asks why he's crying. And he answers. Touched, she remarks, she's never seen such a selfless soul. Then, she pivots. "Not here," she whispers. Grabbing his hand, she pulls him away into the night's deep shadows. Stunned, he follows her lead, calling her name while staring into the vast, dark horizon. Face flushing red, he follows her through the camp. Soon, the hands of fate finally turn. The siege of Harfheim Hill ignites. On the front lines, Philip screams for his ultimate day of victory. Opposing them, Pesamut snarls a command to silence the elector's annoying voice forever. One servant. Intelligence reports confirm mobilization is complete. Pesamut scowls. Are we really back on this tedious subject? The servant pleads for mercy, calling the elector's capture an atrocity. Suddenly, Pesamut's signet ring pulses with light. A call connects. Through the crackling static, a woman's cold voice confirms her identity on the line. She reports status, combat ready. Locking eyes with the void, he commands, stay sharp, failure isn't an option. He shoots a sidelong glance, preparing a final directive. Do me a favor, keep the carnage light this time. Amidst the carnage, he roars. You always overdo it. Smirking, she glides forward to settle the chaos. Crushing a soldier underfoot, she purrs, I'm being gentle. Her dark gaze promises restraint, yet drips with malice. Despair grips the servant as memories haunt him. He spurs his stallion, thundering through the obsidian woods. The horse's velocity is staggering. A mere spare, and its name, Filly. This beast is something else. He's floored by the animal's sheer quality. But that's not all. He reveals a high-grade, priceless healing elixir. Boom, a massive blast rocks the horizon behind him. One look at the smoke and he knows hurry. Time is a luxury he doesn't have. The elector is isolated. Across the field, a blade is drawn. This might actually work, he mutters. Traitors cackle, mocking the elector as he's encircled by a ring of steel. The stench of betrayal is suffocating. Philip stares at his own uncle. Why? Why would you do this? A cruel smirk spreads. You're clueless, nephew. The scheme is laid bare, a dark pact with the villainous Pesamut. Even the Emperor is involved. The trap snaps shut. Philip will be branded a traitor. Execution is imminent. Checkmate. What's your move? The traitor beams, relishing the moment the light leaves Philip's despairing eyes. That's a lie. Nobody will believe this, Philip cries. A boot crushes his spirit. Reality is whatever we say. Pesamut sneers. You're purely delusional. He barks the command, bind him, throw this pathetic dog in the dungeon. On his knees, Philip's pleas fall on deaf ears. I am an elector. He trembles, his status now worthless. Zero mercy. Then a shadow from above. Valpurgis descends like a vengeful Valkyrie, shattering the enemy's confidence. She strikes with thunderous force, her fist connecting with Pesamut's jaw. He reels back, howling in pure rage. Get the elector out of here now, she screams. As Philip flees, the traitor spits a final warning. Pesamut points. Hexacs hunt him down, perched on a bloody captive Hexac's size. Aw, I was having fun. Duty calls. She leaps with predator grace. As you command, my lord. Boys, it's dinner time. Rotting hounds manifest from the shadows, teeth bared. She giggles, rip them apart. Leave nothing but bone. The undead pack blurs forward, encircling Jay Wu. Trapped, Jay centers his breathing, gripping his weapon tight. Classic Hexacs, he mutters. He knows her game, using these mangy curs to drain his precious stamina. A zombie hound lunges, jaws snapping. Revolting, he spits, sidestepping the beast to deliver a lethal counterstrike. Your tricks won't work twice, Jay shouts. Then it hits him. Half the pack is missing. They're hunting Philip. Philip can wait. Valpurgis is the priority. With a battle cry, Jay cuts a path. I have to hurry. Hooves thunder as Jay and Valpurgis fight back to back. Philip curses his mana, flickering like a dying candle. Pasemet, you coward, he snarls from his saddle. Mid-sentence, a decaying beast leaps for his throat. He tracks the beast's arc with cold eyes. A flash of steel, later another hound is sent back to hell. Valpurgis covers his flank, her resolve unshakable. In a blur of motion, her boot sends a dog flying. Crisis averted. Are you hurt, she breaths? A curt nod is all he gives as they plunge into the woods. We're entering uncharted territory, she cautions. But Jay's eyes widen. Your Grace, look out. A soldier's scream pierces the air. He's being devoured. Jay lunges to help, but a heavy blow sends him reeling. Hold on, she cries, reaching out until cold hands seize her. Her scream is choked off as she's dragged away. Forget her, we have to go, he panics. As the shadows close and a cruel voice whispers, class matters. This is unknown land, she warns. Suddenly, Jay catches a glimpse of movement. Your Grace, look out. A soldier cries for salvation as the monsters close in. Jay screams for her, but a strike floors him. She yells for him to survive, but the darkness is faster. Claws snag her, and she's hauled into the abyss. She's a lost cause. Save yourself, he shouts. A shadowy figure sneers. Not all lives are created equal. Of importance. Shock turns to fury. Is this a noble's duty? She seethes, teeth bared in cold defiance. Bitterness consumes her. If only she'd listened to Jay Woo's warning sooner. The elector's heart sinks with regret. A low profile could have saved them. Ignoring Jay Woo was a fatal mistake. Suddenly, Hexax strikes, lunging for Valpurgis's throat. A brutal clash erupts. The elector is shoved to safety while screaming her name in terror. Tensions peak as Valpurgis braces herself only to be violently hurled through the air. She slams into the forest floor broken. Everything is falling apart and hope is fading fast. Paralyzed by fear, he watches the injured Valpurgis struggle as Hexax looms with her whip. Survival of the fittest, Hexax sneers, taunting her dear sister with cold, murderous eyes. Valpurgis erupts in fury. That title of Prince Elector carries the weight of the entire empire. Hexax just smirks, sending her hounds to finish the hunt for the fleeing elector. We share the same blood, she whispers mockingly, staring down her defeated sibling. It was a setup. Realizing the trap, Valpurgis desperately lunges forward for one last strike. Her blade meets only air. Effortlessly dodging, Hexax leaves her drowning in pure despair. Crack, the whip bites into her skin. Hexax laughs, fueled by her sister's screams. A rain of lashes descends. Hexax cackles as Valpurgis writhes in the dirt, utterly broken. Curled in a ball, she prays for a miracle. Jay Woo, please save me, she whispers. It's not over yet, Hexax screams, winding up for the kill. But the atmosphere suddenly shifts. Boom, a thunderous gunshot shatters the silence. Hexax freezes her heart, skipping a beat. From the canopy above, a mangled zombie hound crashes down like a broken toy. One shot, one kill. Before Hexax can react, a shadow looms behind her. A fist like iron shatters her composure. Jay Woo connects, sending her flying with explosive force. She hits the earth hard. Jay Woo steps forward, his eyes locked on his target. Tears of relief spill over as Valpurgis sees him. Her savior has finally arrived. My hero, she murmurs before exhaustion claims her. Jay Woo catches her before she falls. He cradles her gently, acting as a shield. Hexax's irritation reaches a boiling point. You're no ordinary human, she spits. Jay Woo simply holsters his piece, ready for battle. Still as annoying as ever, he scoffs. Hexax smiles. Does he actually know her? Range is my advantage, Jay Woo warns. Hexax just grips her whip, daring him to miss. He pulls the trigger, but she's a blur, closing the distance in an instant. The whip snakes around his neck. He gasps for air as she yanks the coil tight. Get over here, she screams with a sadistic grin. Jay Woo grinds his teeth, refusing to break. Crack, a brutal headbutt sends him reeling back, his vision spinning from the impact. The party's just starting, she howls, lashing out with her weapon once again. But Jay Woo is a ghost. He blurs past the strikes, charging directly at her. Panic flickers in her eyes. How is he closing the gap so fast? He's right there. He dodged the impossible. Now at point-blank range, he levels his pistol at her. Not today, she shrieks, trying to swat the barrel away in a desperate frenzy. A slick sidestep and the gun disappears. Instead, he reveals a shimmering dagger. Surprise. Cold steel bites deep. Hexax gasps, her world tilting as the blade finds its mark. My eye, she screams. She was so obsessed with the gun she missed the knife. Wings sprout from her back as she retreats. This isn't over, you bastard. Running away already, Jay Woo taunts. She just laughs, he can't touch her from down there. Too bad for you, he smirks. Because today I'm the long-range DPS. She dances through the air, confident. Then a single perfect bullet finds its home. Gravity takes hold as she plunges down. Jay Woo just exhales. Target eliminated. Collapsed on the dirt, she overhears the order to hunt bats. Weapon gripped tight, he readies his next move. Looming over her, he curses that creep for the struggle. Now it's time to see what loot this boss dropped. Suddenly, a voice cries out, "Brother," coming from the transformed figure sprawled before him. "Are you really going to end me?" she sobs. Eyes locked onto his as she clings to her dagger. "Cut the act and drop dead," he snaps. She bellows in pure rage at her crushing defeat. With one last shriek, the figure dissolves into the woods. A system alert confirms, whip of destruction defeated. A loot window pops up, listing her spoils. After gathering the gear, he kneels beside her limp form. Grabbing a vial, he's glad he didn't sell it. He sprints toward Valpurgas, finding her collapsed on the grass. He calls her name, gaze fixed on her. He preps the potion, swearing he won't let her slip away. He uncaps the healing elixir. A warning flickers. This item must be applied directly to the skin. Perched beside her, the realization hits. To save her, he'll have to get past that heavy armor. "It's just first aid," he mutters, heart racing. He grips the vial, screaming at his own nerves internally. Memories flood back. His name is Han Jae-woo. He remembers his mother, broken by the weight of overwork. At 18, he was cast into a cold world alone. Then a loan shark cornered him over inherited debt. Desperate, he took every dirty job available. Handing over cash, he begrudgingly thanks his collector. He counts the stack, stashing it away. "This is only a temporary fix," he warns the greedy man. The man sneers indifferent. Jae-woo grits his teeth, hoping this week's mission nets him 10 million. 10 mil from a game, the man gasps. "Yeah," Jae-woo replies, "it's called Guardian of Humanity." The man's eyes light up at the hype. "Never heard of it, but these character designs are insane." He gushes over the waifus. Brandishing a globe, he shouts that 1 billion players are already hooked. He explains how pros rake in millions. The man grabs him, desperate to know if the pay is real. "You actually make bank playing this." Excited, the man begs him to dive back in. "I'm too busy for games," he sighs. Suddenly, his phone pings with a shocking notification. His shift was cancelled. With nothing but time, he logs into the virtual world on a total whim. He gazes at the sky, floored by the hyper-real graphics. The bustling streets feel impossibly tangible beneath his feet. Is this even a game anymore? Spotting an apple stand, he wanders over to the merchant. The vendor barks out prices while he examines the fruit. This NPC's face looks terrifyingly human. "Let go," the vendor snaps after being grabbed. "No gold, then get lost, kid," he sneers. His balance reads a measly 10 florins. Glancing at a nearby child, he sighs. He's too broke to help. The sheer realism confuses him. A mother quickly ushers her son away, ending the brief encounter. He checks the price and buys a single apple. With a kind smile, he hands it to the boy. The pair thanks him before disappearing. He realizes then that a single florin holds massive value here. He waves goodbye, telling the kid to be good. A wave of nostalgia washes over him. He recalls begging his own mom for fried chicken. He looks away, hiding a bittersweet grin. This game is something else, he muses. When reality choked him, these quests became his only sanctuary. He began logging in daily. This world was his escape, a place to recharge his broken spirit. Real life was exhausting, drawing him back to the screen. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out. Valpurgas introduces herself, having heard of his legendary skills. She invites him to hunt Havel Forest boars. "Boar meat sounds good," he smirks. She's stunned as he drops the beast in one clean strike. "I didn't even get to swing," she laughs impressed. "Hey, let's party up and hunt together." A party invite from Valpurgas flashes on his screen. He eyes the window with deep suspicion. Why would a high-tier player want him? He scans her stats, confirming her elite status. Is this a golden opportunity or a deadly trap? After a tense pause, he hits accept. Duo leveling would be a game-changer. As their health bars sink, their epic journey finally begins. Stepping into the shadows of the woods, tension peaks. His real legend in this world starts now. Suspicious of the catch, he asks if this is just another shady deal. She smirks, questioning his faith before calling him quite the character. She suggests he could become a knight later. Suddenly, a deafening roar erupts as the massive crowd chants his name in unison. Taking in the spectacle, a man praises his incredible journey. Valpurga turns to him, curious about the whirlwind of emotions he's feeling. He humbly deflects the glory, thanking her instead. She gestures to the sea of people, reminding him they're alive because of him. Right then, a snow-white dove glides past its feathers, dancing in the breeze as it draws eyes toward the celebrating masses. She identifies them as his most devoted followers. A satisfied smile plays on her lips as she watches the fruit of their labor. Doves blanket the sky, signaling a legendary triumph. Mesmerized, she admits he's a rare breed, unlike anyone she's ever encountered. She's stunned by his relentless drive toward everything. When pressed for the why behind his madness, he pauses, searching for the right words. Despite the bruises, he grins, claiming it's out of love for this world. She teases back, saying he shouldn't have unarmored her then. Galloping toward the Valpurga convent, he reminds her that her gratitude better go beyond mere words. They have a deal to honor. He jokingly says he's eagerly eyeing his prize. With a chuckle, she assures him, The convent pays its debts to heroes handsomely. The convent's massive walls loom over them. Annoyed by the delay, Valperga barks at the guards that an honored guest has arrived. Inside, a nun drops to her knees, her face grim, as she delivers the chilling news. There is absolutely nothing left to do. She warns that the entire convent is in total lockdown. Cut to a quiet inn near Rheinfelden as the shadows of night stretch long. The hallway is eerily still. Lying awake, Jae-woo curses his luck. He didn't come this far just to miss the angel's heart. That artifact is his ultimate prize. A relic of the old world, it currently belongs to the high walls of the Valperga convent. Forged by a goddess, it holds the power to recall a soul, essentially granting its master a literal extra life in this world. He tosses and turns desperate to get his hands on it. Suddenly, a familiar voice cuts through the silence of his room. It's Valperga. She steps inside, offering a soft apology for the humble state of his quarters after such a grueling victory. He asks why she's lurking, and her gaze turns heavy. She's been overthinking, and whatever she's found is dead serious. Demanding total silence, she confesses he's the only one she can trust with a mission this dangerous and classified. Her face turns stone cold as she prepares to spill the secret. She takes his hand, whispering that the High Abbess herself has been corrupted by darkness. He's confused, thinking of Angela, but she clarifies, the real target is the legendary Margareta. Betrayal. The word stings. He immediately smells a rat in the ranks, clutching his head as the gravity of it hits him. Stunned, he admits he thought she was a ghost of the past. But Margareta lives wielding a power that defies common sense. She's a monster in human form, the one who forged this peaceful convent into the Empire's most elite military juggernaut. His mood flips instantly. Grinning, he declares they're saving her, bolting out of bed so fast he nearly gives Valperga a heart attack. Baffled, she demands to know what sparked this sudden fire under him. He just locks eyes with her, dead set on moving. He needs to know if the darkness truly touched her. Since he's an expert on shadows, they need to move right now. Flash to the convent, drenched in a violent storm. We see a memory of Angela grilling Valperga about his knowledge of shadows. Within the cold walls of the training room, Valperga doubles down on the intel, confirming the creeping spread of the abyss. She pleads Jae-woo's case, begging for a chance to trust him. Angela clenches her hands, lost in a storm of hesitation. Present day. Angela glares at them, both hissing that he's already heard too much. Jae-woo feels the air turn to ice. Slamming her hands down, she warns of a traitor. She can't fathom why Valperga would bet everything on a complete stranger. Furious, Angela snaps at the guards to drag him out. He's done talking, and for a moment, the room goes dead silent. Valperga stands frozen, but Jae-woo just shoots her a knowing smirk. He breaks the silence with a single, chilling observation. He mentions the abbess's fading life force. With a calm smile, he asks for just 1 minute to prove his worth to them. The bombshell drops. He's read the forbidden gospel of the 7 demons. The entire room goes still with pure shock. She gasps, wondering how a mortal knows of St. Anthony's text. He explains it's the ultimate roadmap to hunting the darkness. Angela's jaw drops. She hammers the table, screaming for answers on how he laid eyes on such a cursed, forbidden book. He meets her gaze unfazed. He knows exactly how to kill the shadows. A confident grin spreads as he challenges her. She finally relents, but with a deadly condition. This secret stays buried in his heart until the day he dies. Her voice drops to a lethal whisper, promising a swift end, if even a single word of this leaks out to anyone. She crushes the stone table like paper, proving her strength. Her final warning, cross her, and he'll be feeding the river fish. Under the watchful eyes of the silent nuns, they begin their descent down the long, shadow-drenched corridor of the convent. He questions what kind of twisted convent he's stumbled into. As for Margareta, he just hopes she's built different. Sensing his shock, Valperga checks on him. He smirks, asking if she's actually aiming for that insane, shredded physique. She shuts that down instantly. They halt before a massive door. Angela's voice drops, warning of the suffocating demonic pressure ahead. Don't lose your mind, she snaps, ordering the others to stay back. Stealing her resolve, she faces the heavy entrance. Opening it now, the doors creak, and a wave of pure, unadulterated malice erupts through the crack. The crushing weight triggers a mental damage warning. Gritting his teeth, he checks if Valperga can even still stand. She nods firmly. Thanks to his system's mental shielding, he manages to keep his own composure against the abyss. Angela gestures toward the void, introducing the legend known as the High Abyss. Jae-woo's eyes lock onto the figure. He's completely floored. Is this really the woman hailed as the ultimate powerhouse in the convent's bloody history? Her reputation was god-tier. Yet there stood young Margareta, swallowed by shadows, looking utterly lost and confused. Was she abducted? He asks, stunned by her latent power. Angela glares, demanding he take this nightmare seriously. She reveals the grim reality. Every holy ritual they've attempted has failed miserably. Jae-woo listens, his expression darkening. His face hardens into stone. Then comes the bombshell. He is the only hope left to save Margareta. Suddenly, a desperate nun lunges at him, pleading for her abbess's life, with tears streaming down her face. Can't breathe, he gasps. Once she lets go, he notices the nun herself looks deathly ill. As a priestess, she's a magnet for this filth. He traces the black veins creeping up her skin, deadly proof of infection. Relax, I've got a solution, he says. The nun loses it, shaking him wildly for any shred of hope. He's tossed aside, lungs burning as he tries to recover. He takes a long, stabilizing breath to steady his heart. Reclaiming his cool after the chaos, he looks Angela dead in the eye. Saving her is actually pretty simple. His play, use the convent's ultimate sacred relic. Angela goes dead silent, weighing the impossible risk of his proposal. The angel's heart, she whispers. Her eyes narrow as she realizes exactly what kind of madness he's planning. He wants to absorb the curse himself. I'm a mercenary, he grins. I've survived worse hells than this. He radiates pure confidence, claiming he's the only one qualified for the job. Angela pauses, her mind racing. She ponders his insane gamble, but drops a warning. The abbess specifically forbade this sacrificial method in her orders. Her message was absolute: no one sacrifices themselves for her. If they disobeyed her final command, she'd burn the entire empire to the ground. Plus, this curse is a total mystery, dark, chaotic, and completely unpredictable. Dropping to one knee, she questions his resolve. Angela warns that this curse won't just kill, it will torment him. For all eternity. Valperga agrees, but he just brushes the fear off with a confident, nonchalant shrug. It's the best move, he insists. Unlike these holy types, he knows the shadows. He isn't vulnerable, like a cleric. Angela studies him, her face, a mask of stone. He smirks, asking her to admit the idea is incredibly tempting. She lets out a heavy sigh, cornered by his logic. Fine, she warns, but expect serious trouble for this. She finally gives the green light. They bring forth the angel's heart, a legendary ring capable of binding souls. He inspects the artifact, feeling its ancient power hum. Valperga reaches out, desperate to pull him back from the edge. It's not too late to stop, she cries, but Angela silences her. This is his decision to make now. Ring in hand, he signals the start. The forbidden transfer ritual ignites the air, crackling with raw, dangerous energy. Channeling the power into his body, he presses his palm against Margaretta's forehead. The delicate, lethal process begins. The transfer triggers. Vile black energy surges from the girl, flooding into his veins as the others watch in horror. Shockwaves of darkness erupt, swallowing the entire room. A sea of shadows drowns everything in a terrifying display of power. Suddenly, he's adrift in a cosmic void, standing alone on a tiny barren planet amidst the stars. Is this the true abyss, he wonders? Then a booming, mysterious voice echoes. Who dares to summon me here? He screams his name, demanding the curse be lifted. The entity scoffs, labeling him nothing more than a pathetic mortal. Out of the void, a colossal eye snaps open, glaring with ancient malice. I have no business with you. Begone, the entity roars, its colossal eye fixated on him while unleashing a relentless, crushing assault. A system ping flashes soul protected. The monster recoils in shock, baffled why its soul extraction failed miserably. Shut your mouth and hand over the curse, he snarls. The entity bristles, spitting out a dark threat. It vows to harvest every nearby soul. Realizing the stakes, he decides it is finally time to play dirty. I already memorized the Gospel of Seven Demons, he scoffs, admitting he swapped the legendary book for a pup. He continues his mockery, claiming the book is now worth pennies. Facing the entity, he drops a final bomb. He threatens to leak its darkest secrets. Shaken, the entity yields to the curse transfer, yet there is a catch. The bargain has a price, it warns. Suddenly, a neon system window shatters the air before his eyes. A new quest, slay the Demon Kings. His blood runs cold, seeing the first name on the list, Kulak Farza. Herdzamak and Aimer follow. He grimaces, realizing this mission is way out of his current league. Take it if you dare, the entity snaps. As the forbidden power surges into him, his world shatters. Dark energy swallows him whole. Agony tears through his veins, more brutal and cold than death itself. This was not the deal, he shrieks. The entity sneers, reminding him that absolute power always demands a price. He thrashes in torment as the curse devours his soul. Between agonized screams, he chokes out a warning. You will regret this, he bellows. A system chime echoes attributes and skills updated to legendary heights. The screen turns red. You have died. Back at the convent, peace is shattered as Jae-woo wakes screaming. Trembling, he bolts upright. Was it a nightmare, or did he actually cheat death and claw back to life? He glances at the ring on his hand. It worked. A low, twisted chuckle begins to bubble from his chest. Madness glints in his eyes as uncontrolled laughter erupts. I am the king of necromancy, he declares. Commander of death dragons, the legendary cold blood has returned. I am number one now, he shouts. He smirks, finally, feeling acknowledged. Suddenly, Valpergaz bursts in, finding him broken and sobbing on the floor. Did you crack your skull? She asks. He denies it as she explains she carried him back. The ritual is over. Perched on his bed, she berates him for his suicidal recklessness. He listens in silence. Do you know how worried I was? She demands. He gazes at her, then gently touches her leg armor. I am sorry, I will not do it again, he vows. She stares back, warning him to keep his word. They stand together, gazing out the massive window in a rare moment of peace, until the silence shatters. An explosion rocks the grounds. Rushing out, he finds the nuns frantic. Angela turns, greeting him with stiff formality. "Who leveled the forest?" he asks, staring at the ruins. Suddenly, a gargantuan dark monolith slams into the earth. A colossal hand emerges. Awake at last, a booming voice echoes, "I just needed a stretch after my slumber." The entity thanks him, calling him savior. Stepping into the light, she reveals herself as the High Abbess. Margareta tosses a massive tree aside like a toothpick, her true terrifying form finally coming into focus. "I am High Abbess Margareta, but call me Mari," she winks. They begin descending the ancient stone stairs. Valpurgis and Jae-woo move cautiously. Jae-woo curses, knowing Philip has likely slipped through the forest. He planned to assassinate Philip with his new aura, but those odds are looking pretty slim right now. Without the angel's heart, it is impossible. Adventure time, Margareta beams her excitement, practically radiating off her. Angela begs for some decorum, but Margareta scoffs. Propriety is for the nobility. Jae-woo watches the chaos unfold. "Is she always this hyper?" Jae-woo whispers. Valpurgis just turns her head, her expression unreadable and cold. "She is the convent's youngest elite warrior," he murmurs. Suddenly, Margareta teleports right beside them, grinning. "What are you two doing all alone?" she teases. Jae-woo just smirks at her antics as they reach Valpurga's hidden warehouse. Margareta claims this treasure trove holds the perfect gear for his upcoming journey. Grabbing his hands, she playfully asks for a date. "Don't worry, I will not bite," much she giggles. Margareta shoves the massive doors open, urging them inside. A grand mystical portal begins to creak open wide. A luminous corridor is revealed. Phase 1 complete, Jae-woo mutters. The hunt for Philip starts right now. The camera pans across the ancient convent, showing the dense, mysterious forest swaying in the darkening breeze. Dressed in epic new gear, he heads to the stables and asks his horse for a vibe check. He reviews his S and A rank loot while his steed nudges him. Suddenly, a voice asks if he's already departing. Valpurgis appears, questioning if he'd really ditch her without a goodbye before inviting him for a quick stroll. She softly remarks that it feels like they've been comrades for ages, given everything they've conquered together. Memories of the brutal orc sieges and the final showdown with Hexus flash back as she recalls another moment. His presence in the forest was a total game changer. Mounted up, Valpurgis offers her gratitude for his inspiring words. Back in the moment, they trek through the silent woods. She notes that he doesn't seem very inquisitive. He plays it cool, asking about what. With a smirk, she tells him to quit, acting oblivious regarding her face. Hidden behind his helm, he nervously admits he figured there was a reason, which is why he never pried. She confesses that a hideous scar from a curse plagues her face, a curse even she doesn't fully understand. Because of this mark, she's cruelly labeled the Ugly Knight. Locking eyes with him, she asks if he'd like to see her true self, admitting her nerves but trusting him enough to unveil. Feeling the awkward tension, he waits for her move. Shedding her helmet, she asks if he finds her revolting. With bated breath, she watches his reaction, eyes locked onto his. Stunned by the sight, he instinctively covers his mouth. Panicking, she begs him to say something, anything. In a desperate burst, he bellows that she's absolutely stunning. Flooded with relief, he realizes she just broke her lifelong rule by removing her helmet specifically for him. She mentions a gift, making his heart race. Producing a necklace, she explains it's a priceless family heirloom. Handing it over, she calls it a token of her eternal presence. Still processing the weight of the moment, he stares at the treasure. He promises she'll always be with him, clutching the item with a flustered grin. He vows to protect it. She smiles, saying it seals their promise. Attempting a final farewell, she says her piece and he wishes her luck. Then they both stall, insisting the other should leave first. Their petty bickering over who leaves first even tilts the horse. Suddenly, a notification pops, romance route unlocked. Scene shift, birds scatter as darkness swallows the forest. His horse judges him, wondering what's wrong with its owner. He starts spiraling, wondering if this pace means they'll be married by next week. Suddenly, the stench of fresh blood hits. He finds a pile of corpses, instantly killing the romantic vibe. Surveying the carnage, he realizes the clash between Philip and Pizumat was pure insanity. It's obvious. They're both totaled and can't fight on. He grips his new blade's hilt tightly while mounting his horse. He decides to scout the perimeter. Right then, a system alert flashes, revealing a brand new skill. A devious smirk creeps across his face. This just got interesting. Without wasting a second, he prepares his dagger's ultimate, commanding the shadows to become his limbs as he summons a vampire army. He gives his new minions their first mission: hunt down and track Philip's every move. Pointing to one, he issues a direct command. He then orders them to scavenge every military uniform from the dead. Cut to a small village at midnight. Philip and his two guards look absolutely cooked, exhausted, and gasping for air. He rages that Pezumat's betrayal is unforgivable, screaming that this is a total emergency. A guard reaches for Philip's bag, but a voice suddenly cuts through the night, calling the prince's name. Introducing himself as the mercenary, Jae-woo shouts that he's here to collect him, making sure everyone hears. Philip recognizes him, but the guards stay on high alert, losing his cool. Philip calls his men useless and strikes one, demanding to know why they didn't act while Jae-woo rescued him. Glaring at his guards, he calls them pathetic worms and demotes them to the mercenaries' bottom-tier subordinates. Running toward him, Philip begs for salvation, surrounded by his vampires. Jae-woo deadpans that he missed him, claiming he fought through hell to reach the prince. Philip is thrilled, praising the reliable reinforcements and promising a massive reward. Then without warning, Jae-woo's vampires strike. The guards are torn apart instantly. Seeing the bloodbath, Philip freezes his brain, unable to process the betrayal. With a cold, villainous smirk, Jae-woo tells him he's officially outlived his usefulness. Cornered, Philip glares with pure venom, snarling that Jae-woo is just a clueless pup challenging a tiger. Livid at the backstab, he sneers that he's been raising a disloyal mutt this entire time. Jae-woo scoffs, promising to rip into someone like Philip. That jab is the final straw, forcing Philip into a combat stance. He readies his blade for the first form of his secret sword art. A massive crescent slash erupts, aiming to cleave Jae-woo and his vampire horde in two. The vampires shield him, absorbing the devastating impact. Jae-woo realizes right then that his subordinates are outmatched by this monster. This is a waste of mana, he mutters. With a sharp command, he orders his blood-sucking legions to fall back at once. Philip sneers, mocking him. Does it sting to watch your little pets get slaughtered right before your eyes? Stone-faced Jae-woo retorts that he isn't a coward like Philip. He lunges forward, declaring his spirit is as boundless as the horizon. Their collision shatters the earth, leveling everything nearby. Amidst the chaos, both warriors lock eyes with savage, defiant grins. Suddenly, Philip hurls a heavy chair at Jae-woo. Our hero is forced to leap back, narrowly dodging the flying furniture. Jae-woo recognizes it instantly, the Elector's steel, Philip's signature sword style. He knows that beneath its graceful flow lies a lethal trap, the ultimate master technique for counter-striking. Philip resets his stance, snarling. Did you really think you could stab me in the back and just walk away? Jae-woo coolly mentions his powerful allies among the nuns. Philip just laughs, claiming no holy army can scare him. With a heavy stomp that cracks the floor, he prepares to unleash the second form of his devastating sword art. He grips his hilt with both hands, face contorted in raw rage. Every ounce of his focus pours into this one killing blow. Jae-woo readies his dagger, bracing for the impact. Even gasping for air, Philip's gaze remains sharp and murderous. Jae-woo waits unmoving. He suddenly screams that Philip's internal injuries are finally catching up to him. With fire in his eyes, Jae-woo barks that the prince's little drama ends right now. He charges without a second's hesitation. He sinks a brutal blow straight into Philip's gut. The prince flies backward, coughing blood onto the cold floor. Jae-woo looms over him, whispering that the church isn't his biggest threat, it's the man standing right in front of him. Collapsed on his knees, Philip curses his weakened state. Why, he gasps. Why are you so hell-bent on killing me? Jae-woo scoffs at the word loyalty. With pure disgust, he asks if the prince is really that oblivious to his own sins. He reminds him how he turned his back on his own soldiers and tossed Valpurgis aside like trash. How many lives did your greed cost? Jae-woo roars, questioning how a monster like him could ever lead anyone. Jae-woo remains unmoved as Philip pathetically begs for mercy. Sobbing, the prince claims he did it all for his kingdom. Who will protect them if I'm gone, he wails, arguing that his death will only invite invasion and chaos. Jae-woo nods slowly, admitting there's some logic there. With a sinister smirk, he offers the prince one last lifeline. He pulls out a healing potion, offering it for a price. Philip lunges for the hope, promising to pay any cost for survival. Leaning in, Jae-woo demands he kneel and beg Valpurgis for forgiveness. Shocked that she's alive, Philip quickly agrees to the terms. Appreciating the pathetic display, Jae-woo hands over the entire flask as a reward for his desperation. Philip chugs the liquid without hesitation. The empty glass vial hits the floor with a hollow thud. It shatters into a million shards. As Philip begins to gag and choke, Jae-woo asks with a grin. Tastes good, right? The cure was actually dragon guma poison. Tears streaming down his face, Philip curses Jae-woo for his ultimate betrayal. Clutching his burning throat, he screams in agony. Jae-woo just laughs, noting that this venom could drop even a demon king. Consumed by rage, Philip pulls a hidden blade and lunges for one final strike. Jae-woo just stands there watching him struggle. Before the blade can connect, a vampire blur appears out of thin air, effortlessly blocking the prince's desperate attack. Philip freezes, his jaw dropping in pure terror. Piffenheim, he stammers, unable to believe his eyes. He demands to know how he's still alive. Piffenheim coldly reminds him of the day he was left to rot among monsters. He explains his resurrection and new allegiance to Jae-woo, spitting that Philip's ego was always a death sentence for others. With a blade pressed against his throat, Piffenheim declares it's payday. Philip breaks down into pathetic, terrified sobs. Just as the execution begins, a glowing system window flashes. Will you permit this character's death? The system warns that killing a guardian could break the game's story. Down below, Philip is still shivering on his knees. Jae-woo is annoyed, sparing this trash just for the sake of the plot. He's not having it. I don't need him, he snaps, ordering Piffenheim to end it. Without a second's delay, the vampire knight obeys. The sword descends. Instantly, the system glitches out, flashing red alerts that a guardian has been permanently deleted. But then a gold window appears. A secret scenario has been triggered to unlock the transcendent class. Now every single guardian must fall. Smirking, he mocks the system's lack of foresight as a fresh objective blips onto his map. This marks the next coordinates. We cut to a breathtaking shot of Earth floating in the infinite void of space. Aquila observes the unfolding chaos with a yawn. Despite her boredom, a flicker of genuine amusement dances in her eyes. She taps the screen, noting he's finally shattered the first seal. Then his intense expression catches her attention. He's radiating confidence, she muses. Glancing at a phone, she admits she's hungry for even more carnage and destruction. Turning away, she warns that the real game starts now. Back on the field, he claims his hard-earned spoils. He unlocks an S-rank and an A-rank skill. Suddenly, 3 massive double S-rank abilities flash across his system interface. He admits the loot is insane for this difficulty level. But wait, the rewards don't stop there. 2 S-rank class-exclusive skills join his arsenal. Snatching an item from the dirt, he questions if that's the final drop. Looks pretty mid, he grumbles, inspecting the loot. He tries to crack it open, but a violent surge of electricity jolts him. The system alerts him to a powerful barrier. Defeated for now, he plans to hit up Margareta for backup later. Suddenly, a fresh notification pops up before him. The system makes a chilling, unexpected announcement. He's secured the Guardian essence needed for Ascension. Killing these ancient protectors has a hidden heavy cost, though. It weakens the world's seal. Staring at the text, he wonders about transcendent beings and seals before the grim truth hits. He must tread lightly while hunting guardians. He ponders if becoming a transcendent being is his ultimate lonely destiny. Will he end up isolated? He debates sticking to the Guardian's trail or forging an entirely new destiny for himself. Suddenly, Pfeffenheim rushes over, shouting that the objective they were hunting has finally been located. He presents a scroll snatched from Philip's lackeys. As he unfurls the parchment, a look of pure triumph crosses his face. This is the true jackpot. Solid work, he commends before asking if the secondary mission is finally a wrap. Pfeffenheim reveals they've dressed a prisoner as a demon. Trembling on his knees, the soldier pathetically begs for mercy. One of Philip's rats was found lurking close by. Jae-woo's eyes narrow as a devious new strategy takes shape. Sobbing, the man offers anything to stay alive. Jae-woo grins, hoping his dear Pezamat enjoys this upcoming surprise. It's time for a gift. Cut to a massive legion of knights marching in. Leading them is the Royal Guard captain, Lawrence. Suddenly something catches his eye. He bellows for a full halt. A scout rushes forward with a dire report. A brutal skirmish just went down. They locate a lone survivor, and Lawrence demands he be dragged in for questioning. We move to a flickering campfire where the interrogation kicks off. Lawrence looms over the terrified prisoner. Was the artifact stolen? He barks. The soldier stammers that they were ambushed while attempting to rescue Prince Philip. Livid Lawrence asks if he played coward while his brothers bled. Shaking, the survivor admits to the shameful truth. Consumed by fury, Lawrence slams his blade into the earth. He cries out in bitter frustration. If only they were faster, but then he pivots, praising the man as a paragon of knighthood for surviving. Hauling the soldier up, he bellows to his entire army. He makes sure everyone hears his grand decree. This hero risked everything for his lord. He commands them to match his bravery and hunt for Philip all night. Elsewhere, the majestic Rose Palace of Roserant looms. Inside, a mysterious woman strides through a vast, glittering glass corridor. Lawrence enters and drops to one knee with total respect. He reports that their pursuit of the enemy continues. They tracked Philip's trail, but the trail went cold. The prince has vanished into thin air. Where is the artifact, she demands. Gritting his teeth, he confesses that Pezamat's crew snatched the prize. She toys with her glass, sighing that Pezamat is becoming a real headache. Lawrence bows in deep apology. Forget the apologies. The artifact is priority number 1. It's the only key to restoring the fallen prince. She cuts him off, insisting the prince is too stubborn to die. She commands him to confront Pezamat. Deliver a warning from Rowan. Tell him if he refuses, things are going to get ugly fast. We pan to a massive enemy stronghold. Inside, Pezamat looks like he's just seen a ghost. That psycho was actually brought back to life, he gasps. His subordinate's confirmation sends him into a total panic. How did that monster survive a perfect trap? His subordinate tries to downplay her as just a human. Pezamat explodes in rage. He remembers how she soloed an entire demon domain and slaughtered everyone inside. She didn't stop until the leader's head rolled. In a trembling voice, he asks the final question. The lackey reveals the catalyst for this chaos. Some fool actually crushed her favorite snack under his boot. From that moment, demon kings trembled at her name. She became the legendary Margaretha, the Tempest of Annihilation. Suddenly, a panicked messenger bursts in, clutching an urgent scroll from Roland's camp. Beelzebub snaps, demanding answers, but the messenger is clueless. He slumps back into his throne. bracing for her latest drama. He unfurls the parchment, eyes widening in sheer disbelief at that insane woman's audacity. "Why would she think I have it?" he bellows, his fury sending a shockwave through his terrified guards. He can't believe that lunatic is demanding such an item. Why would Roland even suggest this? As he pieces it together, Philip's resurrection and the item's vanishing act start smelling like a setup. A chilling realization washes over him. None of this adds up unless someone is pulling the strings. Is there a puppet master hiding in the shadows? Meanwhile, Jae-woo sneezes mid-ride. Pfaffenheim asks if he's catching a cold. Jae just rubs his nose, dismissing it. His servant then asks about Philip's corpse, but Jae's focus is elsewhere. He reveals his prize, the Golden Imperial Edict. With both the Elector's body and the edict, he's unstoppable. Possessing both is a total game-changer. He summons Pfaffenheim, who answers his master instantly. A predatory smirk creeps across his face. This victory, it's absolutely flawless. "The world is mine," he declares, toasting to his own glory. Far away, deep in the woods, a merchant caravan creeps through the shadows counting their gold. "This is our final shot," their leader whispers. Hidden eyes watch. The perfect trap, a hooded figure murmurs. Suddenly, the guild leader is ambushed from the dark. A lethal strike lands before he can react. Invaders surge forward under a black flag screaming for loot. "To arms, we're under siege," the leader roars in desperation. Steel clashes as the guards fight for their lives. They're hopelessly outnumbered. Amidst the carnage, the attacker mocks their connection to Queen Rowan's gold. The merchant spits back in fury, demanding if they realize the gravity of stealing royal funds. "Who cares?" the invader sneers, delivering a brutal blow that sends the leader reeling. He hits a tree hard, gasping for air. The raider looms over him, saying, "Go whimper to Valpurgis. And take your pathetic uncle with you," he mocks, with a twisted grin. Cut to a different scene. Valpurgis scolds Jae-woo, telling him to hold still. "Ow, easy with the medicine," he winces. Her eyes soften with concern as she examines his wounds. Suddenly, Margaretha kicks the door open, thrilled that he's finally returned. But spotting the intimate moment, Jae and Valpurgis freeze, utterly mortified and speechless. Margaretha's gaze lingers, a knowing smirk playing on her lips. Outside the convent, her scream echoes. "You actually took off your helmet." She slams the table in excitement. Teasing a mock strike, she laughs. "Keep this up and you'll give me a damn heart attack." She admits she gets it, the urge to finally reveal your true self. Caught off guard, Jay can only offer a shaky, nervous laugh. Suddenly, Margaretha grabs him, demanding he cherish Valpurgis. Her gaze turns lethal. "Break her heart and I'll fold you like laundry." She finally sits. Asking if the rumors about Prince Philip's death are legit, he nods, confirming his crew is handling the body. She sighs, wondering if this causes a political mess. "Damn it, I wanted to end him myself." "Dead is dead," Jay shrugs. "Besides, I brought you a little something to lighten the mood." She leans in, intrigued. He pulls out bags of gold, looted straight from Philip's fallen soldiers. "Go wild on snacks," he jokes. Her eyes sparkle. "You're literally a saint, Jay." Jay cringes, telling her to stop. Valpurgis watches them in silence before noticing some mysterious paper packets. He uncovers secret letters from Roland to Philip, detailing a plot to seize the throne. Turns out they're enemies, clashing over taxes and trade bans. Jay pauses, asking about that economic blockade she brought up earlier. She clarifies that the Emperor is seizing every guild asset linked to Roland's faction. It's total financial warfare. That's why House Ritter struck. She mentions Valpurgis is mentally drained but stops mid-sentence, realizing her slip-up. She shuts down, face turning red. Jay frowns, sensing the tension. Meanwhile, Valpurgis just watches everything, her expression unreadable. "It's fine," she whispers, promising to explain it all to Margaretha. End scene. Alone for a beat, he dwells on the absolute chaos this mission has become. This blockade just evolved into a high-stakes showdown with the Elector of Bayern himself. He whips around as Valpurga's voice suddenly slices through the silence of his chambers. Relocating, she begs him to erase today's secrets from his mind before revealing the crisis. This isn't his fight yet. He refuses to walk away, not when her life is on the line. She warns the stakes are too high, fearing the crushing guilt of dragging him into this. He watches her unblinking. She confesses that despite his reliability, he's still too green and soft-hearted. Grasping her hand, a knowing smirk plays on his lips as the puzzle pieces finally click. He admits it's way above a mercenary's pay grade, yet he doubles down on his offer to help. He vows to be her pillar of strength, flashing a cocky grin at the versatility of mercenaries. She's stunned he's cracking jokes now, but his unwavering smile screams pure, unadulterated confidence. He declares his absolute certainty with total conviction, leaving her to echo the word in disbelief. Taken aback by his resolve, the scene shifts to the towering majesty of the convent's cathedral. Inside, he strides down the hall with iron resolve, ignoring the passing nuns. Charging forward without hesitation, he bursts through the doors, bellowing Margaretha's name. Caught mid-snack, she nearly chokes on her rolls as he slams Philip's pouch onto the table. He teases the gold within. Her eyes instantly ignite with pure greed despite her full mouth. Dangling the pouch, he promises a double payout if she bites, whispering a tempting offer. Hyped by the loot, she screams for a triple reward, her excitement hitting the absolute ceiling. Questioning the strange gear, he learns these gloves are a major upgrade from his recent unboxing. He summons a canteen with a flick, a legendary feat of convenience that leaves him totally floored. Praising the tech, he goes for a sip, only for the canteen to blast him square in the face. Baffled by his horse's sudden halt, he receives a judgmental stare before they finally enter the city. Navigating a massive throng at the gates, he finally cheers he's made it to the heart of things. He jokes the wait was like a Disney line, but the sheer volume of people is staggering. The city is buzzing for the Great One. Grinning, he finds the atmosphere exactly as he recalled. He learns the legendary Great One is actually the Demon King Cobalt, the city's undisputed ruler. Cobalt is a pro-human visionary who unified cultures, and our hero knows he's the key. Jae-woo vows to track him down, until a mysterious voice pulls his focus to the shadows. A tiny goblin appears, praising his legendary vibe, leaving Jae-woo wondering how they've met. The goblin senses his overwhelming aura, a direct result of his newly awakened high-tier passive skill. This skill juices up his charisma, so he wastes no time declaring his intent to meet Cobalt. Hyped for the ultimate crossover, the goblin offers to play tour guide for the business meeting. They arrive as Cobalt's massive fortress looms ahead, its grand halls ready to swallow them whole. Before massive golden gates, the goblin requests a pause, promising tea while the heavy hitter waits. A sudden skill level up leaves him baffled, but he shrugs it off. Gold is the only priority. Scanning the room for loot, he spots a piece of art radiating pure, unbridled narcissism. The goblin's sudden reappearance with tea makes Jay jump, prompting a sharp demand for an introduction. The goblin quips about his monster status, but Jae-woo counters with a wild joke about marriage. Seeing the goblin freeze, Jay realizes the joke landed. But why is the creature calling him he? Dropping the act, Jay decides to test him, pointing directly at the ring and calling it out. The goblin's mask slips in shock before he recovers, claiming Jay's observation was expected of him. Jay clocks the jewelry. Sipping his tea, he hears the goblin brag about its 10-year price tag. Savoring the tea, he applauds the performance, addressing the goblin directly as King Cobalt himself. He exposes the ring as a legendary treasure, calling the goblin's humble act a total sham. No one claims the title of Great One, proving Jay's hunch. The goblin shifts form, praising Jay's lethal instincts. Shedding his disguise, he declares himself the true sovereign of this realm. Meet the one and only Cobalt, the legendary Demon King of Shadow and Death. Lounging, he asks if the Valpurgis incident brought Jay here. Jay smirks, betting that a big shot like Cobalt holds all the cards. The Demon King fires back, claiming he knows exactly what Jay is hunting for. But there's a catch, every secret has its price. Jay isn't surprised. He knew this information glutton would demand a heavy toll for his precious intel. As the ultimate player, Jay possesses vast knowledge from lethal war tactics to complex market trends. With a flex of confidence, Jay claims he knows it all. Cobalt's face twists into a massive, eerie grin. His eyes sparkle with curiosity as he makes a wild proposal. Let's be besties. Jay just blinks, standing there completely stunned by the bizarre offer. Cobalt explains that Jay is now the ultimate main character, caught between dangerous hunts and a frosty relationship with that stone-faced paladin. With a wicked smile, he says teaming up would be a total win. Jay wonders how to seal the deal. Cobalt tosses him a mysterious ring. It's a specialized comms device. Jay realizes Cobalt is exactly the type to talk your ear off given the chance. Despite being unable to read him, Jay listens as Cobalt offers a juicy teaser. The demon raises one finger, signaling he's ready to spill the tea. Jay leans in, focused on the Demon King's every word. The secret lies in Dresden, the duchy's massive capital. We jump to the bustling streets of Saxon's heart. Jay marches toward the iron gates. The guards draw their weapons, barking for his ID like he's a commoner. He just smirks and drops his ultimate skill, Dignity of the Great Leader. The crushing pressure sends the guards into a panic. Don't get in my way, Jay growls, his terrifying aura pinning them to the spot. He charges through the gates, using his presence to part the crowd like the Red Sea. People are literally flying aside in total confusion. Panic erupts as civilians witness his raw power. Seeing them drop to their knees, he coldly orders everyone to move. Meanwhile, a woman screams for the Valia Guild leader. She reports a monster-level presence approaching at high speed. She's trembling as the threat closes in on the guild's headquarters, desperate to escape the inevitable. She begs him to stop, but Jay storms into the room, finding the terrified guild leader waiting for his doom. The leader stammers, asking what a powerhouse like him wants. Jay stays silent, his skill glowing ominously in his palm. With a villainous grin, Jay announces he's here for business. We're talking about Dresden, right? He asks. Cobalt confirms it, mentioning the tangled web between the merchant guild and a high-ranking knightly family. They're trapped in a vicious cycle of massive debt. Jay's eyes sharpen as he processes this game-changing news. Cobalt leans back, savoring Jay's shocked reaction. With a casual wave, he flexes his absolute dominance. In the world of espionage, It's terrifyingly clear his shadow network covers every inch of the continent. The truth is, Outcubalt is the unrivaled king of shadows. He adds that there's one more juicy detail. Intrigued, Jay asks what else is hidden in this mess. The scene shifts to a quiet, gloomy bedroom, where Jay and another man stand over a sick girl. The man introduces his fragile daughter, Marin. He explains her health plummeted out of nowhere. We see a glimpse of the vibrant, happy child she once was, but suddenly she began to wither away like a dying flower. He's tried every doctor in the land, but nobody has a clue. The father collapses, sobbing that his daughter is slipping through his fingers. Desperate to stop the tragedy, Jay grabs him, insisting there has to be a cure. The father begs the adventurer to bring back his daughter's light. Jay tells him to ditch the formal talk and just call him Jay. Adjusting his mask, Jay reveals he came here specifically to cut a life-saving deal. After a beat, he refocuses and examines the girl. One touch to her forehead confirms it. She's in a state of total collapse. He notes the severe muscle wasting and the burning fever ravaging her body. Looking at her pale face, he knows standard potions are useless here. But then he turns, declaring he has the ultimate cure. The father's eyes light up with desperate hope as he begs to know the secret. Jay drops the bombshell. They need the elixir of Gross Glockner. Hearing that name, the man's hand starts shaking violently. He falls to the ground, gasping that reaching that place is a literal suicide mission. In this world, returning from that place is just a synonym for death, purely impossible. The camera pans to the Empire's southeast, revealing the treacherous Great Demon Dragon Canyon Grossglockner. This is the domain of Schwarzer Teufel, a dragon whose god-tier power rivals even the Demon Kings. To top it off, the entire gorge crawls with endless demonic beasts, making survival a pipe dream. It's a suicide mission for any normal soul, but Jay Woo just smirks. He's definitely not ordinary. Clapping a hand on the merchant guild leader's shoulder, Jay tells the stressed man to chill out. He'll handle the mission personally. Hearing this, the desperate father finally sees a glimmer of hope. Ding. The system confirms his acting skill is live. Suddenly, Jay pivots and grabs the man's coat. He insists the father must go, instead leaning in to explain that a mere potion won't cut it. Her real cure is a father's devotion. This emotional gut punch leaves the man sobbing in total despair. Wiping his eyes, the father begs to help. Jay keeps it simple. Let's talk about the Ritter debt. Mentioning the debt turns the man pale. Jay then drops a bombshell. He'll shoulder the entire burden. The guild leader is floored. Jay grabs his collar, barking at him to focus on this insane deal. With chilling intensity, he reminds the man this sacrifice is for his sick, dying little girl. The girl's faint voice echoes her dad's name, triggering memories of her once vibrant, joyful smile. He recalls her constant laughter and the sweet promise she made to marry her daddy someday. Driven by pure love, the father screams his acceptance. Cut to the canyon, a new journey begins. Under a moonlit sky, Jay scales the peaks howling that the view from the top is straight fire. He yanks a massive rare herb from the soil and flexes the loot to his trusty horse. He teases the horse, asking if it recognizes the prize. Yep, it's a legendary local healing herb. Handing the greens over, he tells his horse to watch closely. He claims this death trap is actually safe. Why? Because the orc guards are elite. No villainous human or demon is getting past this security. Turns out even the basic grass here is top-tier medicine. Jay kneels to touch the soil. He senses the insane value around him. Hyped up, he roars that even the dirt here is gold. Pure treasure. He sprints around like a madman, vacuuming up every rare herb in his sight. This means saving the girl and securing a massive bag. He bites a leaf. Hey, tastes pretty bussin' too. Thwack a pebble beans him right in the dome. Annoyed, Jay's peaceful farming session is officially ruined. He whips around to find the culprit. A beast looms over him, snarling for the human to beat it. A horde of goblins backs him up, claiming this turf is theirs. Under the pitch-black night sky, the goblins are busy farming herbs. Jay kicks back in a chair, sipping a drink like a boss. A goblin sweatily handles a trowel, digging up a plant with the focus of a master gardener. Jay monitors his new interns closely. Suddenly, he jumps up, screaming that their digging technique is absolute trash. Flaunting a pristine specimen, he lectures them, protect the roots or pay the price. He then vows to send them back to the afterlife if they mess up his precious harvest again. Do I make myself clear? Rewind a bit. We see how Jay first met these grumpy green monsters. Trapped, the sheer numbers actually surprise him. The goblins lunge, aiming to shred him into pieces without hesitation. Outnumbered, no problem. Jay locks in, preparing to unleash one of his cracked special abilities. He triggers his OP new skill, Blood Tear Absorption. He strikes, unleashing hell on the goblin horde. Post-attack, every goblin in his way is face down. He stares at the fallen losers with pure disappointment. Why even try? He scoffs. With a casual flick of his wrist, he commands the defeated to stand. The goblins shuffle upward, their wills now bound entirely to his divine command. Standing tall, the Green Army awaits their master's whim. Jay claps, grinning. This plan is coming together perfectly. Back in the present, he chats with his head servant. Gesturing toward his drink, he points out the obvious. Chuckling, he asks why they chose a fight they had zero chance of winning. The servant bows, thanking him for their lives. Pivoting, Jay asks what other monsters haunt this massive canyon. The servant reports sightings of werewolves, giant centipedes, and ogres. Satisfied, our MC smirks at the intel. Keeping this guy alive was a genius move, he thinks. Suddenly, his ring ignites with a blinding, mystical light. A well-known voice resonates from the gem calling out for Jay Woo. On the other side of the line, Kubolt teases him about forgetting their link. Smirking, Jay quips that Kubolt really should try stand-up comedy sometime. Kubolt cuts to the chase, asking for an update on Grossglockner. Dodging the question entirely, he casually mentions the nice moonlit sky. Meanwhile, in Pluzan, Kubolt offers an invite to an upcoming festival. Business calls as they discuss Valpurgis's meeting at Ritter. Apparently, those guys demanded a massive, unreasonable settlement fee. The price is highway robbery. Even worse, they're threatening to seize all the inventory meant for the trade. Those goods belonged to Queen Rowan. Fuming, he warns that this mess is only the tip of the iceberg. Kubolt commands him to tell Roland to play along for now, vibing with the scheme. Jay Woo agrees, citing their long-standing partnership as the reason. Shifting back to the treacherous canyon, he guarantees a massive payout for Kubolt later. Chuckling, Kubolt calls the location a literal gold mine for them. Hearing commotion, Kubolt signs off to avoid being a distraction. As the ring's glow fades into darkness, he's stunned that he got ghosted. Frustrated, he rants that Valpurgis is the only reason he deals with Kubolt. The servant trembles, asking about the noise. Removing his spectacles, Jay asks for a status report. Then bam! Two massive ogres burst from the tree-lined shadows. The terrified servant shrieks, pointing at the hulking beasts closing in. Assessing the threat, he barks at his servant to retreat immediately. But he doesn't just wait around. He roughly shoves the man aside. Now clear, he sneers at the pathetic broken goblins littering the forest floor. The ogres shrugged off his magic, causing the goblins to fail. Raising the undead is useless here too, since they'd just be crushed again. With palms ablaze, he prepares to unleash a far deadlier set of skills. Ready for blood, he unsheathes his blade and drops into a stance. He smirks time for some light stretching. Grinning like a predator, he prepares. He summons a weapon from the elite roster of 12 legendary blades, the indestructible crown jewel of House Paltz. Gripping it tight, he's ready to shred anything in his path. Behold Rublanja. A system window pops up, revealing this relic massively buffs his unique swordsmanship arts. The ogres freeze at the sight of the steel. He asks if they recognize the fabled lunar blade. Shadow art, we see a glimpse of Philip's past, swapping this treasure for something way more ostentatious. He readies the zero form of his lethal technique. Before the monster can blink, it's caught completely off guard. A deep gash opens on its arm, but the ogre barely flinches, moving with godlike speed. He manifests multiple afterimages to mess with their heads. The bewildered beasts can't tell which one is real. The creature bellows in terror as the strike approaches. In one fluid, blindingly fast motion, he carves through both enemies at once. Landing gracefully, Jay Woo perched atop an ogre's massive skull. With its brain pan sliced, the final ogre stands frozen, paralyzed by the sheer precision of the hit. A final decisive strike ends its life. The panicked servant rushes over, screaming his master's name in relief. Jay admits he was rusty since he hasn't used that move lately. The servant is absolutely floored by it. He calls it legendary acting nonchalant. Jay shrugs and claims it was barely an effort for him. Just as he starts flexing, a shadow looms right behind him. He spins around, sensing a new threat. He's visibly shook by this newcomer. Hovering overhead, the figure coldly asks if he was the one responsible. Raising his guard, he's baffled by her speed, suddenly using a familiar art against him. A massive spectral claw snatches him by the throat. Feeling her raw, overwhelming power, she finally reveals herself. Her demonic visage is terrifying. Staring into his soul, she vows to snap his neck like a twig. She winds up a devastating punch. The impact sends him soaring. The UI flashes red. Critical damage taken. Jay can't believe his health bar just evaporated. As she touches down on the battlefield, she readies her next move, asking why they're trashing her backyard. Unfazed by her strength, he barks for her name first. Calling him rude, she reveals she's the ruler of Grossglockner. Jay's mind is racing as the truth drops like a bomb. Behold, the legendary demon dragon. Schwarzer Teufel recalls that in the previous timeline, the dragon was a colossal mountain-sized titan. Noticing his lapse, the demoness strikes, warning him that being this careless is a death sentence. She closes the gap while he's distracted, sneering that he's far too chill for a real fight. Sensing a strange new aura, he wonders what this power is before his loyal servant intercepts. "I'll protect my master," he roars, but she just glares, dismissing their arrogance with total contempt. Her hand glows with lethal intent as she warns that his journey ends right here. He desperately begs for a moment to talk, but she scoffs, exchanging words is now completely useless. Gathering her energy for the finishing blow, he screams, "If I die, the demon dragon dies too." Staring her down, he doubles down on the threat, making sure she feels the weight of it. Her blade stops midair. Stunned, she demands to know exactly what he meant by those words. He doesn't flinch, explaining that he possesses prophetic visions and has already seen her fate. In a nightmare vision, he saw the mighty demon dragon meet a pathetic and miserable end. "So my life is linked to yours?" she asks. He simply suggests she dive into his memories. Silence falls as she weighs the gamble, eventually reaching out to touch his head for the truth. With a sigh, she agrees to the check, but warns that lies will result in instant execution. He agrees without hesitation. Reverting to her human form, she prepares to initiate the mental link. Kneeling before her, he waits as she places a hand on his brow to begin the procedure. "Flinch and you're dead," she hisses, but he remains completely unfazed, showing zero fear. He acknowledges the command perfectly as her power surges, tearing into the depths of his subconscious. Engulfed by raw energy, she enters a mental realm filled with endless drifting film reels. The sheer volume of his memories leaves her paralyzed. This mortal's past is beyond comprehension. She admits the human mind exceeded her expectations and dives deeper to find the core truth. He points to a specific reel, but she finds his helpful attitude incredibly sus and improper. Looking again, she realizes the footage is a blurry mess, until the static finally clears. Suddenly, the image sharpens, revealing the gruesome sight of her own lifeless dragon corpse. "Is this real?" she gasps in horror, but he immediately yanks them back to reality. They both collapse, panting and exhausted. He's relieved she didn't see his other secret memories. Trembling as she checks her own body, she demands to know who was responsible for her death. The revelation leaves her completely paralyzed in shock. Surprisingly, she actually thanks him for the warning. She offers a reward, but he declines. Perplexed by his refusal, she questions his true endgame. "Let's make a deal, Shubi," he proposes. She instantly scolds him for the cringe-shortened nickname. Ignoring her fury, he promises that if she follows his lead, she might actually survive. "I'm 3,000 years old, not Shubi," she yells. He insists it's just modern communication. She refuses to accept it, but the system chimes. Game difficulty has officially been cranked up. The scene shifts to a shadowy forest path, where a massive blue serpent suddenly emerges. Crunch. A man stomps down with overwhelming force, obliterating the snake's head into the dirt. He introduces himself as the Master of the Abyss and the undisputed King of Chaos. Clenching his fist, Demon King Odgat reveals his name but grumbles about the pathetic interruption. He's low-key annoyed that the snake totally ruined the vibe of his main character entrance. Suddenly, a woman appears bowing low to beg forgiveness for her subordinate's major failure. The Demon King recognizes her instantly, his tone shifting as he greets his own daughter. This is Calione. She kneels with perfect grace, showing absolute respect to her sovereign father. He recalls his promise to grant her a wish it's only natural for someone of her status. For his precious daughter, anything. Smirking, Odgat begins issuing new orders to his Dark Legion. Their next destination, Gross Glockner. They are heading straight for the demon dragon's lair. He commands his legion to cast aside fear. His decree is absolute: consume everything in sight and pulverize every living soul without a shred of mercy. With chilling resolve, he claims the demon dragon as his own. Bathed in lunar light, the monstrous battalion storms through the woods, spearheading the assault. The Demon King unleashes his overwhelming pressure. With a final roar, he leads his massive horde into the fray. Backed by his legion, he summons his wicked demons to war beneath the stars. The call for total mobilization rings out. Twilight descends as he preps for the next phase. He reminds them that, despite the chaos, the objective hasn't changed: harvest the herbs. Hyped up, he thrusts his fist high and signals the march. On cue, his goblin swarm surges through the thicket. He barks out fresh commands, stationing every unit for the operation. Slumped in his throne, he accepts a mandrake tonic from his attendant. Nodding to Kururak, he sends a glass Philip's way. Taking a sharp sip, he reflects on his brush with death against the demon dragon. Glass in hand, he dissects the recent timeline. Things went south the moment Philip pulled that sudden betrayal. Then there was the demon dragon's bizarre transformation. He recalls Valpurgus raising his glass to her memory. Suddenly, a gut feeling hits: something is definitely wrong. Extending his palm, he summons a glowing runic circle. He triggers the main scenario window for a deep dive. Instantly, holographic system logs flood his vision. Scanning the data, he spots further anomalies. It hits him not a single event aligns with his past lives. He's in uncharted territory. He clearly recalls the layout of Gross Glockner. For the dragon's appearance to baffle him is impossible. He starts deconstructing the timeline. The core quests remain, but the butterfly effects have spiraled into a new reality. Questioning the deviation, he gazes into his drink, tapping a rhythm of deep thought. Did he miss a crucial detail? Spotting an injured goblin, he demands to know what went down. The grunt admits to a minor scrape during the harvest. He warns him to protect the roots at all costs. Observing his crew, he realizes trouble brews the second he takes his eyes off them. Sensing his worry, the goblin smiles, calling them brothers in arms. That spark triggers a memory. Charlotte had a younger sister. Shock flickers across his face as a new realization dawns. A vision strikes Charlotte and her sister in a forgotten timeline. Then a glimpse of his old party emerges. Fragments of Margarita and the formidable Valpurgis surge through his consciousness like a flood. The mandrake in his glass shrieks. The truth hits his worldview shifted when his status did. Previously, he reigned as Electra Steel, the Empire's supreme sovereign. In those days, he was the legendary savior. He always began with broken god-tier stats, but this time, he's a mere commoner on the world stage. An average Joe with zero cheat codes or special buffs. He's just a face in the crowd. Now, his only trump card is the vast library of past memories. Ghostly echoes of his prime prove his lost divinity, yet this weakness grants him a brand new perspective. He spots micro-expressions and subtle bonds he once overlooked. As a lowly commoner, he finally sees Valpurga for her true self. Before, he would have just settled the debt, ignoring the tragedy behind the curtain. The fog clears and understanding takes root. He recalls Aquila's sudden world-shaking proposal. That offer was the final key to the game's true ending. The cosmic void she manifested was the ultimate catalyst. Suddenly, a mandrake's shriek snaps him back to the harsh present. He recalls the exact moment the commoner class unlocked as Aquila's visage flickers in his mind. The puzzle pieces align, carving a path forward. She unveils the shocking truth: everything so far was merely the tutorial. Reality shatters as his servant screams. The dragon is closing in, trembling the earth. Debris rockets skyward. The demon dragon crashes into the clearing, roaring his name, declaring she arrived just in time. He casually stretches a smirk playing on his lips as he thanks Aquila for the perfect execution. This was the moment he'd been anticipating. Baffled by his calm, she demands to know what game he's playing. He bellows for everyone to move out, stepping forward and leaving his bewildered allies in the dust. Finally, I get it, he smirks, mastering the game of life. Phase 2 starts now. Jaewoo's chilling laughter echoes, sending shivers through the dragon and goblin. The servant whispers to his lady, "Our lord has completely lost it." Ignoring the insult, Jaewoo snaps, "Fix this mess now." Time for a hands-on approach. Odgash grins, hoisting his massive twin axe, and blitzing into the fray. Every step from Odgash cracks the earth. Suddenly a roar shakes the sky. "I am the demon dragon Schwarzer." To fell. The name ripples through the air as demon soldiers chant Odgash's name from the ramparts. Calione tracks the chaos with cold eyes. "He's coming," she warns. Odgash growls, "Is it that lizard? A human and a goblin? Is that it? A demon mocks?" Calione interrupts, "Don't be fooled. More are coming." Say again. Odgash barks, his feet skidding back as a massive invisible pressure weighs him down. Braced for impact, Odgash and Calione stand shoulder to shoulder, waiting for the monster to reveal itself. The morning sun reeks of power. A voice booms, "Welcome to a dragon's private workshop." Schwarzer Teufel emerges, hissing, "Get out of my lair." Odgash just chuckles. "Been a while, hasn't it? I've got a deal for you." She turns away dismissive. "Wait," Odgash smirks. "This one's too juicy to ignore." "It's a prize as stunning as you," he teases, signaling the start. He glances toward his partner. Shubi nods, her eyes locked on target. With a snap of her wings, she enters her lethal combat stance. "Bring it on," she roars, baring her razor-sharp talons. Odgash reads the room. This is personal. She wants a duel. The two collide in a whirlwind of violence while Jaewoo and Kururak watch from afar. Jaewoo inhales, slowly centering his mind. The final pieces of his grand design are finally in motion. "I knew they'd invade," he admits, "but this timing. It's even better than the original game logs." The dragon's true form flickers briefly. He bows to Calione. "A pleasure to meet the realm's greatest beauty." Silent and judging, Calione watches from behind her steel visor. Then slowly, she reaches for her helmet. The steel falls away, unveiling a face that stops everyone's breath. For the first time, she shows herself. A faint, dangerous smile plays on her lips. Jaewoo studies her like a high-stakes puzzle in an RPG. She's the ultimate wild card. One day, a loyal ally, the next, a boss fight that ends in a game over. Her aura is suffocating. This is no ordinary queen. She's even more stunning and deadly than the legends claimed. He reaches out, but a shadow blurs the distance. One of her guards intercepts him, blocking his path instantly. A battle-hardened nun stands between them, screeching a high-pitched warning. "Easy there," Jaewoo sighs, putting up his hands. "I'm here for the princess. You grunts can beat it." The air turns cold at his blatant disrespect. The nun snaps, launching a lethal strike. "Get your filthy claws off my lord," Kururak screams in a panic. "You're useless," Jaewoo scoffs. Still, Kururak trembles and blocks the way. "Over my dead body, demon. Didn't you run like a coward from the dragon?" Jaewoo laughs. He winks at the nun. "See, my pet's got guts." A whip cracks, barely missing Kururak before coiling around the nun like a hungry snake pinning her arms. She's trapped. A portal rips open, and a voice bellows Hexax as the whip user steps into the light. Hexax steps out with a wicked grin, spinning her weapon. She lunges, turning the nun into her personal punching bag. The blow connects with a sickening crack. As the nun shrieks, a new shadow looms. Pfeffernheim has joined the party. He unleashes his power, freezing her in place. "Touch my lord," he growls, "and I'll end your existence." Callione's eyes widen. A vampire. Here. She looks at Jae-woo, who just flashes a smug knowing grin. "Bingo," Jae-woo replies, radiating king energy. One by one, his elite squad emerges from the shadows. "The odds look a bit more balanced now, don't they?" Callione nods slowly. "So that's why you're so cocky. But don't forget," she sneers, "you're standing against the Demon King's invincible legion. We don't lose." Odgash snaps her helmet shut, drawing her blade. "All units on me. Let's show them what real war looks like. Annihilate them." The legion roars, a tide of steel rushing forward. But Jae-woo's team isn't backing down. "Protect the lord," his servants scream. Jae-woo grips his hilt with both hands, his aura flaring in challenge. Callione blurs, striking first. Their blades collide with a boom that shatters the windows and shakes the foundation. Jae-woo skids back, boots smoking against the stone. He stays upright. Callione narrows her eyes. He's the real deal. His raw power eclipses even Pezumat. Smirking at the praise, he nonchalantly retorts. It's a flex to be noticed by her, but her father would weep blood seeing this. If he knew the truth, he'd spiral. He then exposes her identity, Callione Raminia Kaimars. Shook by the reveal, she demands to know his source. He just laughs at her. She snaps, asking what's so funny. He scoffs because she's completely clueless about the situation. He drops a bomb. She's serving her father's worst nightmare. Confused, Callione demands a name. A memory flickers. Callione worshipped her father. His steady gaze was her ultimate sanctuary. He was the demon's North Star. To her, he was the goat, the perfect father figure. He was her hero. In her eyes, he embodied every ounce of childhood happiness she owned. Then, tragedy struck. Her world shattered, seeing him mangled and bleeding out on the cold floor. The news broke, Kaimars was dead, Gog Magog did it, and Kaltus was officially bagged. She watched Odgat crown himself the new apex. While she struggled, the crowd cheered for death. Odgat held her back, acting heartbroken. Calling Kaimars his brother, he promised her bloody revenge. That hollow vow is where her memory cuts to black. Back in the cold present, she screams for him to stop. Jae-woo ignores her, calling her loyalty a total delusion. He kneels, sliding a glowing orb toward her. The moment she sees the footage, the truth hits like a freight train. Inside the memory, Odgat laughs about their romantic isolation. He mocks the solitude of the moment, but Shubi cuts through his lies instantly. She accuses him of being the real killer. Surprised, he mocks her for actually being smart. She spits facts everyone knows. He framed Gog Magog and called Kaltus a dirty traitor. Odgat's mask slips. He admits she's persistent, finally confessing the others were just pathetic weaklings. He owns the kill. Shubi glares, finally seeing the monster behind her father's trusted friend. Laughing like a psycho, he brags about leaking Kaimar's weakness to trigger the mob attack. Back in reality, Callione spirals. She realizes her entire life has been a scripted lie. Paralyzed by the truth, her blade clatters to the ground. This nightmare can't be real. Odgat was family, her father's brother-in-arms. Jae-woo silently watches her world crumble into ash. Scene shift, Jae-woo is mapping out the mission for Shubi and Kurorak via projector. He orders them to broadcast every single word. The goal, force Odgat's own mouth to confess. Shubi is stunned by how simple the play is. He confirms that's the entire endgame. Present day, he faces her asking if she's ready. Shubi played her part to perfection. Phase 1 is a massive success. Jae-woo promises to finish the job himself now. Eyes welling with tears, she asks if their bond was just a 50-year-long act. She remembers walking with her father and Odgat. A soldier reports the area is cleared. She smiled back then, celebrating a victory alongside the man who would eventually betray them. Seeing her broken, he mocks those 50 years of blind, wasted loyalty to a murderer. Silence is her only answer as she weeps. He stands still, letting the reality sink in. He breaks the quiet, offering a way out. He'll teach her Kaimar's legendary forbidden technique. He asks if she wants payback. It's been ages since she even heard that magic mentioned. That power made her father the supreme demon king. How does a complete stranger know it? It was a bloodline secret. Jae-woo casually explains he's memorized every single strategy guide. He's read it all. He knows the absolute peak of the power and its fatal flaw. He gatekeeps the weakness for now, keeping his cards close. Then he drops a lie. He claims the gospel of the 7 demons detailed the entire spell. A total fabrication. He says the intel was clutch. She finally understands why his energy felt so hauntingly familiar. But she warns him it's useless. Odgat is a literal immortal who already tanked that spell. Before she can even consider serving her father, Jae-woo shuts her down, claiming she's completely misread the power dynamic. He stands tall, demanding her full attention. The truth is brutal. Her entire squad has already been wiped out by his vampire legion. Now he drops to one knee, forcing her to hear him out. He drops a massive bombshell, an offer of alliance. The ultimatum is simple: ride with him or face your end right here. Tears blur her vision as she weighs the impossible choice. Suddenly, a core memory flashes back. A younger version of herself tells her father her ultimate dream to reign as a legendary demon queen. He warns that the throne demands absolute strength. Little Kalyoni looks up at him, her eyes sparkling with desperate hope. He scoops her up, laughing as he lifts her toward the sky. Of course you will, he beams with pride. He reminds her she carries the prestigious Kaimar's bloodline. Back in reality, she asks if they can truly slay Odgarsh together. Jae-woo and his crew are stunned into absolute silence. Tugging at his sleeves, his servants whisper that their lord definitely crossed a line. Jae gets roasted for making a literal child burst into tears. Shifting gears, Rurok asks about the demon dragon's fate. Elsewhere, the terrifying Odgarsh finally makes his move. Fully healed and dangerous, he looms over Shubi's broken, defeated body lying on the scorched earth. He sighs, mocking the dragon's pathetic downfall. Despite her wounds, she shoots back a defiant, savage smirk. She throws up a finger, spits out a final curse, and blacks out. We cut back to their peak clash. The sky was a literal war zone. Shubi soared through the clouds, locking onto her target for a devastating strike. He cackles, calling her a massive letdown. He actually thought she'd have the guts to accept his offer. She charges like a heat-seeking missile, pure rage fueling her. Odgarsh just watches her advance, cold and calculated. Taking a massive breath, she focuses every ounce of mana into a devastating inferno. Then she lets it rip. A sea of flames erupts from her maw, incinerating the wasteland below as she maintains the relentless firestorm. With one last scream of defiance, she retreats. But wait, an eerie new energy sparks at her fingertips. She channels her remaining soul into one final piercing beam of absolute destruction.